Are we ready, everybody? You're and welcome to our community board meeting, the last meeting of the year in 2024. Welcome to everyone in the public forum there and staff and my community board members. Thank you. So I'd like to call on Rachel now to do an opening karakia, please. Thank you.
Thank you. E tia tua homai kia mātou, ko rangi Māori e tō aroha, tō kaha, tō maramatanga mō tēnei rā. Lord, give us your peace, your love, your understanding, your wisdom as we go forward and serve our community today. Amen.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to call on Lisa from the Ahipara Rangers in regards to item 7.3b as funding application. Thank you, Lisa.
Tēnā tātou. Thank you for the opportunity to put in a application. All I'm passing out, you read the application no doubt, but all I'm passing out at the minute is one of the biggest costs that the takiwā has is to get our QR code updated. QR code supports the takiwā in the education of visitors and home people who visit and go on to Te Roa Tohe at the Ahipara end. As you would see in the application, we've requested several funding for several pieces of mahi that we do. We've been in operation since 2017. We start our monitoring on Boxing Day and we go through right through to anniversary weekend and every, what do you call those things, every public holiday during summer. The biggest role is to educate, to get folk who are boys in their toys, who are ripping up the whenua that's been returned to Te Rāua and co-managed by DOC and Te Rāua, to stop them from doing those sorts of things, to also pick up rubbish that is left by folk and that comes in off the tide. And this year we are now going to start monitoring for sea spurge, which is the latest invasive weed that is overtaking pieces of whenua and Roa Tohe. It's been found at north of Pukatere, found at Waipapakori Ramp on both sides, and also found at the Wairoa River. Nothing's been monitored around Tauroa, so that's where one of the many focuses are that the takiwā Kaitiaki Rangers will be doing this season. I won't add any more because you've read the application, but I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. Is there any questions for Lisa on this application?
Hopefully the application has sold itself around what we do. We, like you say, 2017, out there, we closed the beach a couple of times because folk are just going over the back of the gum fields and coming down and just, I don't know how many of you go around to Taitia and the damage that has been done to that mauna around there by four-wheel drivers and their vehicles. We've done fencing, we're putting up signs about the only thing you should leave on the beach are your footprints, take away your memories, including your rubbish. So yeah, that's really in a nutshell what we do and look forward to a positive result from this board towards our application.
Okay. Madam Chair, so what's the response of locals to your ranger? Because I know these other rangers up the beach, up to Cody, and what's the general response from locals?
Locals, Bill's age, it's very good. Locals, none of us in this room, maybe 40 or down there's age, who have been brought up on the beach and see it sometimes as their entitled right to ride their motorbikes and all their toys all over the weirs. It's a little bit different. But for most of the part, the locals of Ahiparapara know the Kaitiaki, Ahipara Takiwā Kaitiaki Rangers, because like I say, we've been in place a number of years, 2017, 2020, I think we started 2019, we started doing the monitoring. So we're known. Our logo is known. We have a vehicle that's logoed up, so, and it's more about education.
Last week, Northern Regional Council approached me, I'm the community board,
Sure.
and they came up and shot a video on the sea scoot.
Yes,
It was myself and I don't know if you know River Murray
yes,
up north.
yes,
I don't know where it's going to be televised, but it's a very good one. But we have to let people know how deadly this plant is.
absolutely.
It's absolutely dangerous.
NRC have just released one with Nikki Conrad,
Yeah.
as well as Sarah, somebody. from-
Sarah, yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's already out there now. I haven't seen your one.
I haven't seen it.
But we as well, community are pushing it out on all social media platforms because it's a shocker.
We've got to work together on this one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we just got to work
Work-
together or
work- yeah.
separately together, whatever it looks like.
Yeah.
We're all out there on the beach. We've suggested to NRC, I know it's got nothing to do with the application, apologies, but just responding to the question. We've suggested to NRC, Sarah, that they get in contact with the 90 Mile Surf Casting Club to do a presentation and share what this is all about, because they're always out on the beach. They're Waiganea members, you know, go wandering all over the weirs, as does, you know, any fisher person really. So they're the good eyes to have on the beach.
Yeah.
And I just shared the one about the speed limits with you, because that was one of the education kaupapa that we rolled out last year to inform everyone that the speed limit on the beach is 60. Signs have gone up, and there are speed signs still to go along the beach as well.
Yeah, good one.
Amen.
Yes, thank you very
There's
much,
another.
Lisa. Really appreciate it. I'd like to call on Kai. Are they here? Or was that the ones that are coming online?
No, they're supposed to be here. Kai Hotu Waha Tauhara.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
No.
I was informed you're coming in online. Yeah.
Sorry for the lateness of the application of funding, as we're pretty busy with the reopening of the gorge. We've been hard out, so that's the reason why our application was put a little bit late. Our application for funding is to do with the kaupapa for the wakataua, which is traditional Māori paddling canoe, I guess you would say, different to wakaama. It focuses about, let's just say Māori well-being, Māori men's well-being, I'll put it like that. So initially every year, since the age of 5, I've been attending Waitangi, representing the far north, over there paddling with many other paddlers from across the country. And that basically is what our application for funding is for. In a nutshell, we focus on helping any member of the community that are willing to participate in the activity, which is to paddle. We have 2 wakas that will be representing the far north that will go down to Waitangi this year. One is Kuaka, which is predominantly for our women, and the other one is Te Waka Tau o Te Rangi Māori, which is the local waka. They have been participating in many things over the many years. And it really just teaches men and women, giving them back their culture, giving them a positive light in their standing within the community, upskilling them to be better people in the community, and I can go on and on and on about what the kaupapa can offer to the wider community. We have been very busy this year as we applied last year, and thank you for receiving some funds for our campaign to go to Waitangi last year, and we've just come back to return to see if we can be supported in that way too as well.
Thank you. Is there any questions, please, on this application? Yeah. Felicity.
I've just got one question about the funding from the Bay of Islands Community Board.
So we've been in contact with Bay of Islands Whānau District Council. Their meeting is happening actually right now. So we have two members. We have one member at home joining them on Zoom. And then myself, I decided to come here because, well, we're based up north. So we sort of sent the best one here.
So I just have one question is you've got 4,750 in equipment hire, and for the life of me, I can't see any quotes for your equipment hire.
So last year, that is to do with the marquees that the paddlers sleep in. Last year, we utilised the hiring centre in Kirikiri. We were waiting for the invoices back for those same marquees, and they were a bit late to get that invoice back to us. So we've actually come across two large-sized gazebos that would fit all the paddlers in, and those gazebos are purchased at that price rather than using hiring every year.
Madam Chair, he pātai. Tuko hia ngā mema I roto te waka taua me te waka kuaka.
So we have about 20 paddlers in Kuaka, and we have roughly about 24 paddlers. Those are the ones that fit on the waka. We also have a support team of 20, and then we have kaumātua and kuia that usually join us too. There's usually about 10 of those that come with us. Last year was much bigger. We were over there with about 120.
That's Haruru?
No,
Oh.
at Top 10 Holiday Park.
Through the chair, sorry, just to confirm that, so the actual the hireage of the marquees this year, we'll actually purchase them for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So rather than, we looked at it last year, we were paying about the same amount just for hiring show 7 days. And then we located twin mark gazebos that will put the same amount of people underneath it. And that is one purchase as opposed to hiring.
Do you have a quote for can you get a quote for the purchase of the gazebos?
And there's also equipment purchase for hangi cooker, trestle tables and chairs.
Those are usually our cooking facilities. If I'm to be honest with that, the goal was to aim for the stars even though you land on the moon.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Is there any further questions from the board members? No. Thank you. We'll be deciding on the application further on in the meeting. Thank you very much for attending. Anyone else? Yes.
Not for the funding applications.
Okay, is there anyone in public forum who wants to speak in public forum? I didn't think, I thought everybody was, yeah, no. So, yes, no. Well, I've got Graham McMillan first of all, from the chairperson of the Rangiputa community.
Yep.
Welcome to the table.
Okay,
Graham.
thanks, Adele. Hello, everyone, and as the chair of the Rangiputa Community Incorporated, which this is our first time, we've changed from the ratepayers, we've actually now become an incorporated society, so and that's been a good thing for us this year. Today I'd like to talk about the cliff face issue at Rangiputa. In June 2016, the Far North District Council contracted Far North Roading to build a footpath on the cliff side of Rangiputa Road from the top of Motara Drive and down to the road at the beach. The footpath was welcomed by the community. As previously, people had to walk down the road. It's quite a narrow road. It was a safety issue. And particularly the road has two curves and it's hard to see oncoming vehicles. Footpath is used regularly with property owners and visitors from Motara Drive using it to get to the beach. In addition, there's been a huge increase in visitors to Rangiputa, and we've seen the footpath well used, particularly in busy parts of the year. There's a lot of people coming, more fishing people coming to, because that's one of the things that's the highlight of Rangiputa. And in peak times, it's parking's at a hard, and but there has been an extended parking area at the top, and now people launch their boats, go out and walk down, and when they come back fishing, they walk up again, and it seems to be working. Because the road is quite narrow down to the beach, the footpath was built into the side of the cliff. And over the years, the cliff has deteriorated to the point now where we believe it is a real safety issue. Initially, there were small slips and bunches of toitoi plants slid down on the footpath. Each time this happened, the community gathered and cleared the debris and took it up to the green waste just up the top of the hill. Unfortunately, following on from this, there's been large slips which completely block the footpath. One case, the council here arranged to clear the slip and put a small retaining wall at the back of the footpath, or part of the footpath, hold that part of the cliff in place. However, in our view, at the moment, this is a sort of a temporary stop as debris is continuing to come down from the cliff top. More recently, after several rain downpours, the bottom half of the cliff has subsided and slipped down onto the footpath. As it has moved, it has taken with it several trees which are hanging precariously, footpath. And we believe that this could lead to another major slip. In addition to this, a large boulder has dislodged from right at the top of the cliff. It has rolled down onto the footpath. The boulder is roughly the size of a wheelbarrow, just to give you some sort of feel for it. And it covered, and when it landed, obviously rolled down and it covered the whole of the footpath. While the community, managed to break up, it was a big sandstone boulder, and take it away.
Quickly.
To be frank, it could have been a lot worse if someone had been walking down the footpath.
Yeah.
The boulder has just, the boulders actually come from the very top of the cliff, which is now being undermined from wind and rain. And so got the Motara Drive, it's got a berm, and that berm forms part of the cliff, and now that is being, right at the top is now being gouged. We've taken several photos of the cliff and sent them to our to Hiku community representative, Bill, has been supporting us in our efforts to have the cliff face made safe. Bill has made 2 visits to the cliffside, council roading staff, but there's been no action taken at this point. From a community perspective, we really do feel that something needs to be done and done quickly to ensure that the cliff is safe. As most of you will know, Rangiputa has one road in and out, and if the cliff did have a major slip, would block access for permanent residents and visitors and create, further safety issues. As it stands, we believe the safety risk for the community and visitors is high. From our perspective, stabilising the cliff is not a nice to have, it's a must have. We'd like to request council look at beginning sort of investigating and potentially beginning work on stabilising the cliff. We'd be keen as a community to help out or be part of any work. We do have people in the community that could be involved. And that's where we're at, okay? I'm happy to take any
Yeah,
questions.
thank you. Any questions for Graham?
A question about, have you made any contact with the Northern Regional Council in terms of management of hazard, that's their delegation, and they do like flood hazard mitigation here in Kaitaia? So, and they're the whole region wide, so they have a larger budget for us all the way down to part-time. So I would suggest, they also have the large civil defence office, which is based in Whangarei. So I think that potentially we may have more opportunities with hazard mitigation. Speaking as well.
Through the chair, it's a bit of a shame that they haven't been told this sooner. How many RFSs have we put in?
Yeah.
I've put them in, Bill's put them in, he's been doing this for years. And until Felicity talks about it now. At the end of the day, it's a council road and it's a council problem. And they need to find a fix.
You put in an RFS. When this problem arose,
We all have these.
did you have a response?
They do not.
You're right.
We can't discuss the next one.
Sorry, through the chair, in many cases where I put them in, it's basically an officer has been sent out.
Yeah.
And some of the debris has been moved, but by all accounts, the community's already done the worst part of the job.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at the moment, and it's just falling on deaf ears at this stage.
Potentially, maybe they haven't talked to all the different silos and council and understand the budgets available district.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
sorry that.
Yeah. No.
You know, we.
Yeah.
No, no, it's all right.
Yeah, I just want to back up what John said. Sometimes we don't know the silos, and that would be
No,
good.
didn't know that.
That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask that, sort of, I've come here because the committee of, we thought this is where we came to, but do you think that we should be going to NRC? Because, you know, we can, but I'm not sure. I mean, I need your involvement or whatever, but if it's, I don't know who's, you know, and who owns the land, I suppose, is the other thing. Well,
Who does own the land?
not me.
It's one of those reserves, probably, I'm not quite sure,
Yeah, it
but
is.
there is an office in Kaitaia, an NRC office that you could probably call in and have a discussion.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
But what they want is a solution to.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, but, yeah.
Yeah, what I would suggest is that both the NRC staff and us as board. councillors, grow that site so we can,
Yeah.
And communicate everything. The NRC can get, and Kelly Stratford is the civil defence, and they deal with hazards as well. Contacted our council, Kelly Stratford.
Yeah.
So I would suggest that she be, you know, kept informed of that as well. Just because she attends the civil defence and hazards meeting Sunday on behalf of our council with the Northern Regional Council. Really, you can we put in an RFS from the community board for that? Correct. Yeah.
Mm.
I think it's, yeah.
As part of the meeting,
We'll sort that out.
yeah, as part of this meeting, we should be making a recommendation through the staff department.
Yeah.
And saying,
Yeah.
do something. And we will.
Yeah, we can sort that out later.
Thanks very much.
Well, thank you very much for coming and happy Christmas to you and
Merry Christmas.
everyone out there.
It's 2025. Okay,
Thank
you.
you.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. Now I'd like to call on, is John, are you going to speak or was Vicky?
Both of us.
Both of you,
I'll be
that's
the chair.
fine.
And mine.
Oh, okay, that's fine. So welcome to the table and
Madam Chair, is the report writer here?
My name is John.
She's online.
Lake Area Community Board. We have members here in support. We're pretty passionate about our community centre. I will just give a bit brief of the history of the centre and the process that we have been led down for the last 5 years. So the first building was moved there in 1946. It was transported from Hirakina, the first half of the existing buildings. The second half was built on in 1947-48. The school closed in 1960. And the hall, or the community centre as we call it, was gifted to the community by the Education Department and held in trust by the Monganui County Council. The project we're on at the moment, this project was started in April 2019 with a meeting with the Mayor John Carter, with your chairperson Adele, and the late Laurie Atkinson. The main things that came out of that meeting was use it or lose it. Okay, we are using it. Then came the Hoskins Hall Condition Report, and we had our first meeting with the council staff to discuss and address this issue, issues highlighted in that report. Our priorities were to fix the issues outlined in the building report. One of the major issues we had was the files and a rotting board in the front of the building on the east side, as well as the current entrance. The upgrade of the toilets, one male toilet, one urinal, one double hand basin, and 2 female toilets, and a double hand basin, and install a disability room plus a shower. The shower was to improve our responsibilities to civil defence. To install a califont and hot water pipes to the kitchen, bathrooms, install a proper wheelchair access to the centre of the hall, and use as a fire escape. The council came up with a design. We questioned at that time the relocating of a load-bearing wall within, and they said they had to move it because of to make the toilets compliant. There was agreement on there was an agreement with us on all other designs. This option had planners, architects, geotech reports, quality surveyors, which came up well above the full budget. Now your option 2 design, a new project manager came on board. A new project manager, planner, architect came on board. They came up with an alternative option without removing internal wall at a more affordable cost and complied with the original ideas of the hall, which the committee and community are in favour of. We believe at this point, and we believe to this point now, that we have a building permit, a resource consent, plans and drawings ready to go to tender. Extra funding had been sought and granted by full council meeting at the turnover of the financial year. We've been told to date that the current money spent is $60,000 on engineers in the planners and such. We have had good communication and liaison with the council staff throughout this whole process, even though it has taken time. Approximately 8 weeks ago, we were called to a meeting with the project manager of the hall. He informed us that he had to produce an option 3, a tin shed, meaning the hall would be removed. We rejected this option and asked them to remove this option. Option 3B has never been discussed with us, and the community and the committee would not support this option at all.
Yeah, yeah, we do.
The potai, please excuse my, this is not the potai I'm wearing today, but with the top that I grabbed, I threw it on and then I was cooking, so I offered that. Anyway, the potai I'm wearing today, as a member of the Lake O'Hare Hall Committee and team lead for the Lake O'Hare Community Civil Defence Group. From an emergency response lens, the hall would cater to the displaced and their welfare needs. Threats to our area include flooding, fire, and tsunami. When inland road goes under in a flood, the bypass road is in poor condition and at risk of washing out in some places. You got the RFS for that? We have been on standby a number of times. In the event where both inland road and bypass road are cut off, Lake O'Hare Hall is available as a safe haven until road access is reopened. Same applies for other events. For example, tsunami, if you have a look on the map over here, the hall sits just over here. In the event of a major tsunami, we would be cut off. This would be the evacuation point for the displaced, including depending on what time of the year that event would occur. If it was during the summer, we've got, we all know the visitor numbers to the area, and we would need to get them to a safe place as well. Our hall, so in the event of an emergency, our hall offers a light, friendly, and inviting environment to hunker down in. Replacing it with a tin shed with very little light will compound what will already be a stressful time. The hall is an integral part of our community, historically connecting our past to our present. Kia tau te rangi mai.
Okay.
Kia ora, my name is Vicky Stevens. I'm also a member of the Lake O'Hare Community Centre Committee. And I've spoken to this committee before by invitation about the importance of local halls. Last time I addressed this board, I emphasised the vital role that community halls play in fostering a sense of belonging. I spoke of shared experiences, laughter and camaraderie, which you can see, that flourish when people have a dedicated space together. The feelings of community and relationships that develop can then be drawn on in times of need, such as Cyclone Gabrielle, or the widespread flooding and power outages that we experience. I note that the value of creating great places, supporting our people, is still a core value of the Whānau District Council. The Council's vision and mission illustrates the connection between people. Today I'm here to try and preserve a very special place that meets the Council's objectives, has a strong and historic connection with the people of Lake O'Hare. The one thing I did not discuss last time was the frustrating journey our committee has been on to have some basic amenities sorted for the hall. Back in 2019, the hall committee were challenged with increasing usage and demonstrating a community desire to use the hall in the long term or lose the hall. I agreed entirely with this ultimatum. I do not believe in wasting ratepayers' money on an asset that is not being used. The community came together and decided they needed to appreciate their hall, use the hall, and rebuild our community. We've achieved this despite significant hurdles of lacking ramp entry to our hall, lacking disabled toilets, and constantly being about to start a significant building project, not to mention COVID and lockdowns. As you can see, this is just a small sample of some of the events that have occurred just over the last few years where our communities come together. And I don't have access to all the different groups that use the hall in all their photos, but these are just some of the community events. Various Santas, various children sitting on Santa's knee. The community has continued to put their time and money into improving the hall with repairs and maintenance, groundswork, new fences, water tanks, a basketball hoop. None of this has been paid for by the council. It's our community. It continues to back our hall, our space to connect. The committee has been working in good faith with council staff over the last 5 years to try to get the work started. A building report clearly identified the need for a suitable ramp for access and wheelchair accessible toilet, as well as some building maintenance. At every turn, we have provided information, made ourselves available to staff, followed up when there was significant time elapsed with no work done. Each year, we've been assured by council that the work is about to start. This has meant we've been unable to advertise for good hire. On at least 3 occasions, we've been told to inform our regular users that the hall would be closed soon due to repairs and they need to look elsewhere for a new venue. Thankfully, we declined to kick out our regular users because none of those start dates ever eventuated. Throughout our discussions, the committee has been concerned about the cost of the options available and the benefit this would provide to ratepayers. The committee argued strenuously with the council on accepting option 1, as we knew that moving the load-bearing wall and increasing the number of toilets so considerably, as well as the addition of expensive kitchen items, would clearly put the maintenance spend way outside of budget. We were told by council, make the necessary changes, come up to code. Project was sent to architects and quantity surveyors, and I think JT has pretty much covered that bit. We continue to work in good faith. Option 2, I've got a copy of an email we sent after a board meeting. This is basically the beginning of option 2. I'm not going to read it out to you because it's pretty boring, but there's some lovely toilets. We were told we can buy 5 for the size of our hall, up and down from more. Everyone knows I have a contention with having too many toilets in the hall. And here's our simple, easy plan. No load-bearing wall being moved. A nice entrance, fire escape. That's it. 2 toilets cleaned up, visibility access, and of course the addition of hot water and a shower. Those were the only upgrades that we were asking for. There were some items in there that the community were going to pay for as well, but we were told it would be best to put them in the original plan so that they got building consent as well. Notice came to a building consent twice, and then the community would be handed the hall and we would finish the work on decks and things like that. The nice to have that our community is going to pay for. We've been told over the last year that option 2 is progressing well. A few hiccups. We're about to go to tender. Let people know it will be in progress by winter 2024. Again, we declined to kick out our regular users. Actually, we picked up a couple of new regular users in the form of the table tennis club and yoga classes. Again, we were told there were delays. Move forward to now. We're reading a report that suggests it would be better for the council by $82,000 to pull down our historic hall, a light-filled wooden floored hall with a history and connection to our community, and put up a tin shed. This is the plan that's been shown of what we're going to replace a beautiful hall with. Barely any windows. The floor space, no removal costs identified, a comment that the hall could be sold. Does this mean the building is sound enough for someone else to use, just not our community? And the best bit, a contingency budget on top of $78,000, or 20% of the budget. The report highlights that the committee is concerned that once our hall is removed, the council will then fail to replace it. Well, with the difference in cost between the 2 plans of only $4,000, when you take into account the contingency budget, can you really blame us for believing that we're being taken for another ride? Let's address the report again. It identifies the pros and cons of the council recommendation to pull down our beloved historic hall and replace it with a tin shed. Cons for losing our hall. They could only identify 2. Sentimental attachment, and the hall may not be replaced. I'd like to suggest a few extra cons to losing our hall. Loss of a hall with light, loss of a wooden floored hall. The cosy size, It attracts many families to hold their children's birthday parties. People would want to go in smaller though. And the ambience. How many of you have walked into the Lake O'Hare Hall?
Yep.
People walk in. You're welcome to attend any of our events that are frequent. And so people walk in, they say, wow, this is great. I love the feel. This is a unique hall that offers a fabulous point of difference to people looking for halls. A wedding party chose to have their after dinner in the hall because of the ambience it provided. Pros for replacing a beloved historical hall with a tin shed. The council have identified quite a few. Ability to update functionality. I disagree. You'll be removing functionality if you remove the hall and replace it with a windowless box. Increased building performance. Well, yes, my calf barn is very effective at weathering storms, but I don't really want to have a community event in it. Reduce maintenance and operational costs. I'm not sure how you can reduce these from zero. The community do all the maintenance to date. Since the hall was rejuvenated in 2019, we've increased water storing capacity, provided new water pump, upgraded the maintained the grounds, installed the basketball hoop, replaced toilet systems. The hall needs what all assets need occasionally to be brought up to date with services and basic maintenance. The council suggests it could be a superior asset to others in the region. I'd suggest it already is. It is unique. It offers a different experience to the dark halls that I have visited. So to recap, the council suggests the only reasons the community and committee is against the demolition or removal of our historic hall and the replacement of the tin shed is due to sentimental attachment and fear it won't be replaced. Yet with a difference of only $4,000 in the budgets, does this not suggest that there's potentially another agenda at play? All we seek is to make the Lake O'Hare Hall weathertight and accessible. We don't require extravagant renovations, but rather the essential repairs outlined in the building report. The council has repeatedly insisted that only the approved contractors can undertake this work. Our goal is to ensure that our hall meets compliance standards and remains a valuable asset for our community. The community is more than willing to maintain the hall on an ongoing basis, as demonstrated by our efforts to date. And finally, to ensure transparency and accountability, we request access to the specific policies and procedures governing hall projects. We've repeatedly sought this information without success. The lack of clarity raises concerns about the council's commitment to community halls and the volunteers who dedicate their time and energy to maintaining them. If you have a policy, why don't you follow it? It feels as though we've been subjected to a deliberate strategy of delay and obstruction with the ultimate goal of removing a hall. I ask you today to reject option 3. Back our community, continue creating a great place and supporting our people. Vote today for option 2. It has all its consents. It's ready to go to tender. Council staff have worked tremendously hard to ensure our committee's plan, our community's plan, is ready for tender. Don't let our community disappear. Vote option 2 for the future of our community. Help us create a great place so we can support our people. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Do you have a copy of the building report? I can get you a copy. It's
We've never been given that. We also never gave direction from the start about the project.
There one did come to the board a long time ago. Hoskins Sybil did the actual report, and it did come to the board a long time ago. Yeah,
you will be forgiven.
I'm sure that Bev will find it. I'm sure you could find it.
It's been around since.
Yeah. And as for the hall policy, they're all online. You can find them online, all the hall policies. Yeah.
So you're saying that there's a building consent and a resource consent for option 2 already?
Yes, that's what we're told.
And
Option 2 that's in here today.
so option 2 is your preference.
Absolutely.
And in that, it doesn't mention repiling. That's the only thing that.
Option 2 definitely includes repiling.
It does, oh, it's not specified here, that's why, yeah,
No, it's not, it definitely includes it, that's why it's not expensive.
fair enough, thank you. So the community's made it clear what they want, why isn't the council listening to them, I wonder?
If I can answer that,
Please
it was with the council, but now it's been back here. Which begs I have to ask the question, are the halls our
They
come
are.
under?
Yeah, they're our
okay.
delegation.
Yeah, so we weren't fed all that information, there's information.
This is the first
lacking.
time we've had this information, so.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I can see why Vicky's saying transparency
So can I.
and communication between all parties has been lacking.
Can I just ask a question about the scope that the star, when Eldon came up with a giant number? So anyone that's common sense knows the two structural elements of building are the roof and the piles. Why hasn't this not been broken down into the costing? Here's a roof, here's the piles.
I didn't like the reporting, sorry.
But it's frustrating that there's no staff here to answer the question.
Yeah.
Because
Well, I think,
in terms of scope, we all know.
I would suggest that,
Just
That was the-
direct that question back to the slide.
yeah. And that, so that begs the question, why don't you have all the information if you're making a decision on it today? And
Exactly.
this has been going on
Yeah.
for, they've had this all ready to go for over a year. We were told that it was going to be ready for this year, but then they missed the budgeting, the finance round. So what is the delay? Where are the delays?
Well, because they've only just given us these options, I can't see that there's a building consent already been passed for this work because there's been no decision made yet. So,
That's not what they've been telling us.
well,
We've been told
Not
that
at all.
there's a building.
On many occasions,
On
the
many.
project manager has stated that there is a building consent, a resource consent already obtained.
well, none of that information is in this report.
I know.
Well, this presentation was delayed by a month so that you could have the report, so.
Through the chair, can I ask Vicky and John, are you still having conversations with those said parties that have been involved in the planning?
No.
Not since project manager Reese Davies called us to a meeting in the hall to drop us in chair idea on the area.
Okay.
Option 3B was never ever discussed.
Right.
Has not ever been discussed with the community. That is all new. When I got that report, your thing for this meeting, the report from the council, that option has never ever been tabled or reported to us before.
So when we met with him that day, he gave us the option, he was extra option of the Tinchi was table. We rejected that offer. He spoke to the resource consent and both for resource and building consent were there ready to go. But he still needed to bring it before the community board. He also, in the same breath, he let us know that he was going to be stepping out of that role and moving into his role. Just another symbol
And
of what we have to look at.
And he said, at that meeting, he said there was extra funding for it, and that would cover, what is written in that, cover this plan that I have here of option 2, and it's quite detailed plan. Option 2, and there would be there was extra money to do the kitchen, which was left out of plan B, and some internal cladding. He said the upgrade, in fact, his words were, there was shitloads of money.
What?
Madam
They
Chair,
were his exact words.
But bringing it back, we're not after bells and whistles, what we want is a compliance to code building. So we want a level playing field that we can work with. That's all we're asking for.
And every step, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, go.
Terrible habit of doing this.
That's okay.
At every step, whenever we communicate with council, they want to up the project and we are saying, We just want the basics. We want our hall to be safe. We have a few.
Yes, it has to be safe.
quilters down the end, third photo from the end, or I think they're on the end as well, aren't they? The quilters, one of them's 90 and she's going to go up a ramp like this. She needs two of the other ladies to help her walk up
Yeah.
sideways because it's not wide enough for them to walk up on each side of her. I mean, we've put an RFS in for the door, but the door, of course, won't get fixed because we're about to start a building project.
That is the option. Okay, and as you can see, just one thing.
Madam Chair, there's too many outstanding issues on
Oh,
this. Can we
I think we're
allow this
gonna
to stay on the
probably-
table before any
Yeah, we're
decision?
going to leave this to lie on the table by
Yeah.
the sounds of things. It's just too much.
I just have one
Yeah.
more question about the kitchen and the bathroom. Why don't you have existing use rights? Why are they making you do these upgrades?
Because if we want to.
Because they didn't comply
If we,
with, the building code.
But
They want-
And they were identified in the.
is that if they do any other work to the hall, then at the end of that project, it must meet the building code, and it currently doesn't because it's only got 2 toilets. And that is not enough
why
toilets.
did they
for all
scope
of
it within the scope of existing use rights to do repairs and maintenance then? The scope, well, who determined that scope?
Madam Chair, there's just too many stakeholders missing from this meeting and we really
Yeah,
need
and I
to
thought-
bring them all
I
together.
thought Jeanette was going to be here.
Oh, she's just put her hand up.
Can I've got Jeanette,
Our time as well, continuously.
I've got Jeanette England who's just put her hand up. She's probably been listening to this conversation, I hope.
Did she do?
Yep, can you hear me, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Only
No,
Doug.
Only just, Jeanette.
Can anyone hear her? Can we hear her?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I'll try and
Yes.
and
Yeah.
talk up. Yep.
Yeah, you're okay, Jeanette. Thank you.
Yep, so to answer councillor Foy's question about why we are having to upgrade toilets and the toilet side of things, it like Vicky said, it needs to be it needs to meet the current building code and it currently doesn't. So that work has to be done for us to be able to get sign off and for the hall to be compliant. With regards to
What
option,
legislation is that under? What section of, what section is that under? Why isn't it existing use rights, Shelley?
sorry, can you say that again?
If the building's been there for 100 years, why does it, which section of the Building Act are you referring to that says that we have to do this upgrade? Why wasn't it scoped within the permitted baseline and repairs and maintenance?
It's not repairs and maintenance. So under the, I don't know what specific section under the building code, sorry, but whenever we do upgrades on any hall, we have to meet the current building standards, and it currently doesn't do that. So that's why we have.
The cost to do that upgrade is going to cost the whole amount of the whole building. Don't you think that's nonsensical? Why don't we sit within the permitted baseline and just keep it as it is and give it a new roof and piles?
Because we would never get sign off for the building code, for the building consent.
And show me the section. We'll talk to Trent Blakeman.
I can find that information for you.
That would be really appreciated.
I don't have that to hand at the moment, sorry.
I get back to what I said, sorry, through the chair. We really need to sit down with
Really,
other
yeah.
stakeholders.
But the
Have a better
community
day.
have made it clear that option 2 is working for them, so why don't we just go with that?
Well, at the moment, it's too up in the air at the moment. So
These figures are
We've got full plans. Like, why have we been going down this pathway if it's now too up in the air? Like, how much money? has
well,
been
this is the
spent on-
first time we've seen this report, and
What about
there is
something
a lot of
that we-
questions.
Jeanette, just wondering, can you confirm that we do have building consent for option 2?
Do you, Jeanette, have the question's been asked, do we have building consent for option 2?
My understanding is that the plans have been lodged for building consent. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head immediately, but I could find out whether that has actually been granted.
So it's been lodged.
It has been lodged with a reduced design. So that was to try and meet the budget constraints.
That's option 2.
So that's
Yes.
also got a $42,000 deficit.
That's correct.
for that
So
option.
that's correct. We were still going to be over budget. So going back to Rhys Davies, he's been working closely with the hall committee to try and get this project in on budget, and that is where we've got to at this point in time. Now, with regards to the extra funding that was discussed, Rhys was of the understanding that we could move some money around during the carry forward process, and that was actually incorrect. That was incorrect information that he was given. So that's an apology to the hall committee and everybody else that's been involved in those discussions. That was not able to be done.
Yeah, I didn't think it would be. I did say.
So the funding that he thought that could be allocated to this project, once we talked to our finance team, that was not able to be done. So that's an apology from the staff to the hall committee and to the community board for that misunderstanding.
But there is $430,000 available, is there?
Yes, approximately 430. So in the current LTP, there's 97.9, and then there was an additional 330 odd that was carried forward from previous years as well.
So if somebody sharpened their pencils in terms of the cost, they could reduce or eliminate that deficit, perhaps.
Potentially, yes. Yeah, potentially. It would be a matter of sitting down again and looking at the plans in detail. So the project manager has done proper costings and quantity survey work with the plans.
Question about the staff, Madam Chair. In terms of the way staff approach buildings and how we do book value depreciation to collect buckets of money every year towards each asset or asset classes, is the way the staff approach it is there's a bucket of money here, we're just going to spend as much as we can, or do they scope it? We're going to do the structural elements that don't require a building consent and do those elements first, like a re-roof, which we all know doesn't need a building consent. How do the staff approach this? Because it really concerns me that the comment we hear from the community is that it's a big slush fund and we're just going to spend as much as we can instead of must.
I'm sorry. We do not see the council as big slush fund. We're ratepayers. Yeah, I know. Just clarifying there, that is where the committee is coming from. We have the whole time been pushing for a feedback for a small rural community. We're quite happy with the form. We just want it to meet them.
So you prefer option 2. Yes. You don't like option 3. And fair enough, that, you know, a tin shed is not actually a community building.
I'd like to ask a question about that, actually, Jeanette. Why was that option 3 presented as a tin shed? I mean, the community need natural light, particularly from the northeast side or the north side of the hall, where the light all comes through, which is so why was that option delivered to the community? I mean, that's obviously not a good look. Thank you.
So through the chair, my understanding of that option was that it was presented to them and it was a shed-like structure, not a tin shed. So it would be to provide them. So I understood that they would have windows both sides. I didn't understand that it would be windows only on one side. That's probably what you see in that drawing that Vicky had. I haven't seen that final design. I haven't, and I've only just moved into this design role. So my understanding is that it would be the reason that option was put forward. It was a costing option, and it was for better value for ratepayer funding. That's the reason that option was put forward. We do understand that it's not the committee's preferred option. We do know that, and that they were against it. But we were looking at council best use of ratepayers funding for the project.
Through the chair, so a $4,000 difference in budgets would make that an acceptable option.
Where's the 4,000? I can't see 4,000.
If you have a look at the bottom of option 3, you'll see plus a 20% contingency budget, and I don't know a council project that hasn't used its contingency budget.
20% on that.
Yeah,
And so that would take it up to that $78,000.
Oh, I see,
The
yeah.
difference between the two is $82,000, which leaves us with a difference of $4,000. The community's recently raised that amount of money. We've had people offer donations to cover that amount, so we're quite happy to pay the difference of $4,000 if that makes a difference.
And through the chair, if you're talking ratepayers' money, what did it cost to design that tin shed? Was that a
It hasn't-
contractor? Was that a contractor? Was it staff?
Sorry, through the chair, that shed has not been designed. It's just a drawing that was presented as an option. So there has been no final design done on that. That's my understanding.
so if, for instance, we have to act on behalf of all ratepayers in the whole of our district, and I would like to see the option 3 that you've presented to the committee with proper windows and things in the design,
That's
like
through the-
windows. But I mean, it's just, we're just discussing.
Yes.
No, but it's
But
not
we
what the
don't want it.
community
We don't.
wants.
Sorry.
One
Through the
thing,
chair, they don't want it.
one thing Reece did say, that if you take that building away, there wouldn't be a guarantee that that other tin shed would be put back.
It's not a tin shed.
Well,
Yeah.
he said a tin shed. I was there.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
That's
Sure.
the word
So
he
what
said.
we're going to do probably is leave this to lie on the
Yeah.
table until we've sorted out
Yeah.
the consensus.
Through the chair, I mean, we've got a target of 4:30. There it is. We've got an overspent, sharpen the pencils, everyone gets together, all stakeholders talk, will work together. I'm sure we can reach that target, and if there's any deficit of that, we'll certainly get in behind it to try and the community will get behind it to make that up.
Yeah, just one quick question regarding option 2. Does that price then not include a re-roof?
No.
No.
It doesn't need a re.
It doesn't need a
No.
re-roof. It's a small, the picture.
I think it was done 18,
We
It
did,
just
the
needs-
community did the roof repair because it was.
about 18 years
It
ago.
was
Yeah.
18 years. We just saw it on.
Yeah, I know, but we should be workshopping it like that.
I think if we were there, it would probably out. So lots. It'll have the new gable flashing and barge flashing, but the steel roof is a long run.
Can I just ask one more question? Should the building option 2 be okayed and the work is all done and it's compliant and so on, what is the community's feeling should the council decide to divest the hall?
That was the question I was going to ask too.
think that we would need to consult with the community, but
Yeah.
the feeling I've had from the community is that yes, that
Oh,
would be.
Well, that would be good because
Well,
that
thank you for
was,
making
Which
that
was
clear.
our original discussion
Yeah.
with the Dell and.
Yes, yeah. but you weren't interested in that point.
Well, no,
Have to be-
we've always been very
Buildings
clear.
have to be compliant,
Before you do so.
Compliant
Yeah.
before we take it over.
of option 2 plan.
That was always tabled at the original.
Well, that's what I said. If it was made compliant,
Yes.
using option 2, at that point, once it becomes compliant, the community is obviously perhaps tending towards taking over.
We've got a lawyer in our community that has been supportive of the process, they've discussed options with us and we shelved it because we don't have compliant building.
Mm.
So until that happens, is,
Yeah,
we need.
Because what the other thing is insurance can become a real issue.
yeah,
That's right, and that's the information we were given, and also as a committee, as incorporated society would be liable if somebody got.
Yeah,
broke
right, yeah.
down that ramp, and things like that, we weren't prepared to take on the personal risk.
No.
So all
We-
these discussions were had at the regional meetings.
Mm.
The prerequisite for us to move forward and be in a position to take over the board was that it needed to be some component.
Yes.
And it needed to be compliant. Now we can look at moving forward.
So in the meantime, I mean, we'll discuss this all later. You're not an incorporated society yet, so it's something that you could probably look at in the future.
No, we're
No,
not.
no.
We chose not to until we had some clarity around
Yeah,
what was
exactly.
happening.
Fair enough.
It's an expensive process and a lot
No.
of time.
No, it's not.
It's not sorry, through the chair, it's not expensive. There's a bit of time for someone. But if you're not trading over $500,000 a year, which is no way you will be, then it's actually, you don't have to be audited. You can just do your accountant can do your set of accounts, and you can look at the deficit and hopefully get, certain projects through some of the trusts or other. Yeah.
You can go for funding, proper funding
And
if you.
In a situation like that, funders like physical things, that are going to be around for a long time, as opposed to someone hiring something or, yeah. So I would seriously suggest you try to do that anyway, and regardless.
We didn't know if we were going to have court.
Yeah.
Society, and I mean, the feeling is that we still don't know that right here. That we need it to come up with it to be able to move forward.
And,
We need some clarity that you guys are going to move forward.
and through the chair, just backing up what John said, that's a classic example of what's we've just spoken, getting incorporated because of the advantages, and that was Graham McMillan then.
Yes,
So
yeah.
definitely.
Madam Chair, an extraordinary council meeting on the 26th of June of this year. The Korea was discussed in the financial summit. The forecast was $854,616. Budget for this year and next year was $97,934. And the carryover was $756,682. So just like you people on that committee be aware of it. And where the hell are going to get the money from that? Only God will tell us. That was the that went through council on 26th of June 2024.
Yeah, through the chair, there's another message we're getting, and it's just getting totally confusing. We have a goal, we have a target set by the community. Why can't we focus on that and
Well,
try and get over the line in terms of that?
So why can't we do a recommendation that we see?
Can we talk about this later, and when we get to that item, please? Yeah, I think this item, you've had your say. Thank you very much for coming. And we will discuss this all at when we actually get to the item. But if there's any other questions to the.
It actually looks quite nice. It's all done, that round and everything. It looks attractive from the front and all round. Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming.
Can I just ask one question? So, in those proposals, there was the option of, an option put forward was removal of the hall. Can I take, is there another agenda at play here? Is somebody after?
No, that's only in that option if for instance, if you got a brand new building, that's where that's coming from, probably, I would think, yeah.
So that was just.
Yeah. Okay.
Already the pictures to.
Well done to the committee.
Yes, well done. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for it.
Can I leave a copy of our community response plan for your reference? If you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Bye-bye. Have a happy Christmas.
Thank you all.
Vicky, did you want me to bring these back later?
We can leave.
I think
Oh,
they
we better take them down. Thank you.
No.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we haven't seen.
Can I ask Maddie what?
I'll report on it.
Maddie, can you explain
What
the
you-
money, the bit about in June for me?
That's the question.
Sorry?
That's the question.
Yeah.
Where's this money come from? And has this money, 97,000, has any of that money been spent see the engineers, we pulled the files, we pulled 60,000, she did. Is that the maybe 97,000? That's the issue.
It's just, sorry, it's just an example of so-called transparency. Extremely frustrating, Maddie, on all levels.
Okay, we'll get back to the agenda, shall we?
Yes.
And so I didn't get to the apologies and declarations of interest. So we're all here, so there's no apologies. Is any declarations of interest?
Yes, I just noticed there's a small part of Lisa's application
okay.
that I'll just,
Okay, thank you. Of the
one of the quotes is
arrangements.
through our company, my company.
two.
Madam Chair, with regard to item 8.3, renovation of Pioneer House, I am the community board representative on the Museum Trust,
Okay.
but I can't see that I have an interest really.
No, because it's not a financial one. So you're okay.
No.
Okay, do I have to move that?
No.
No, okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
So we move on to the confirmation of previous minutes, which is 6.1 on page 8. I'll move that one. Do I have a seconder,
Darryl.
please?
Darryl.
Thank you. I think I've read through the minutes and they look fine. Thank you. All in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. So we're coming to 7.1, which is the Lake O'Hare Hall renewal.
Well, Madam Chair, I would like
Would you
to
like to
move.
move it? Yep. And who would like to second it, please?
I'm not moving
Thank
that
you.
one. I'm not moving that.
Oh,
Yeah, we can.
well, we have
you
to
can
move it
change once we've done.
Oh, okay,
to
whatever.
discuss it. Thank you.
Well, I think we received the report and that we ask staff to investigate further option 2, which is the preference of the community, and see what work can be done, whether the work can be done within the budget available, and then look at divesting to the community.
Thank you, sure.
Sorry, this is my beautiful daughter-in-law, and she's got my phone that I left behind. And thank you very much. So put that in words that make sense, please, Marissa.
Well, we'll decide on that first.
I know,
So
but
we'll
I'm
go
saying-
around the table and we'll discuss it and then we can put something in words.
And when is the next board meeting?
Not till February.
February.
So I'll give you an example why I'm concerned about the scope. In Awanui, the whole roof was leaking and physically making the ceiling fall down. And instead of the staff fixing the structural issues that don't need a building consent and designing to the permitted baseline, not needing any consent, there was a proposal to wait however many a year and then come up with some big consenting design and then do the works. I asked the question for Awanui, why has it been done this way? Why aren't you designing to just repair what's there, not need any consents, any professionals, just look with your eyes, send in the roofer, send in the builder? It took me complaining to the general manager, who then got the project manager to look at those options. That was Katie, an internal project manager. And then they'd come up and done that, and you go to Awanui now, you can see them doing the re-roof. So my concern is the scope that the staff originally did, and I know Jeanette wasn't in this position then. The scope that the staff and the consultants and the quantity surveys and the people coming up with all of this, over design for an old building that has existing use rights and the scope to avoid consent and avoid extra cost on the ratepayer. Just do the structural elements. Like the kitchen, I would ask, why does there need to be a new kitchen? Why does there need to be change the bathroom layout? What is the section of the Building Act? Have Trent Lakeman and ask why they spoke to this way. What they had. Especially when that's what the community was saying they wanted.
Yeah.
Through the chair, I'd like to address that. It's probably slightly different to what you're talking about, Felicity. You're in my ward, and Naomi is part of that. Why, if the hall is our delegation, why aren't we informed when funding is secured for a hall?
Do you know how funding is secured?
No, I haven't got a clue, but I'd like to know when they've got money. I'm saying that because the comment was made, why spend money on Laikoia? We're more important. I'm just following up what the community.
So the way
said.
that budgets are created is that there's a council budget set and then every year renewals funds be collected.
No, I understand that all, but sometimes I don't understand it. What I'm asking is, if we're part of the team, or this is our delegation, why aren't we informed? Why, thank you.
Because I think that that's an issue with council about the silos. We have workshops and Hilda will know this about all of the way that depreciation works and the way the funding avenues work. But I think the issue is that we say a budget is available instead of saying what needs to be done.
Yeah.
How do we save the ratepayers and just do what the community wants instead of this budget's available, let's spend it all quick, you know?
Yeah, I'll break it down even more closely so I understand too. Why do halls, and I don't begrudge any of my halls getting money, I'd give it to them at any time. Why am I fighting for one hall for money, and then I turn around and another hall's getting money behind my back? I didn't even know it was allocated.
Because the community boards don't have a financial delegation at all. So that means no individual community board member has a financial delegation on behalf of council. That means it's not, it can only go through myself and Maddie, who's financial delegation, and Hilda to sign off for any money. The board can make a recommendation, but it's actually at an operational level.
That's
the
what I'm
funding.
So this
Yeah,
still,
why are
even
we out of
though,
the loop?
yeah,
The board can't make a recommendation if it doesn't have the facts.
Correct.
Exactly. Yeah.
And what I'm highlighting is the council don't have the facts. There's just a number that appears.
yes, well, all these
And the
numbers are
budget line.
here, yeah.
It
Can
isn't scoped
yeah.
to.
can you see how it appears to someone like me, working with the community,
Oh, yes, yeah. So,
and how it seems to them, hearing it from me or hearing it from other public members?
What a wonderful delegation, I have to say.
So
And
what we,
I support the preferred option. And it's very cost effective, because I've seen a budget somewhere that says nothing terrible.
Yeah.
And that, you know, there's no way we can afford it, so. I'm very impressed, but I'm also impressed that they're once it's compliant, they
oh,
want to take it over.
yeah, I am
Which
too. Then
which
that
is
was
what,
one of my things,
everybody
yeah,
aimed
that's the
for.
object of the,
Mm.
that's what
Exactly.
my aim is for.
We were always talking about divesting the halls,
Yeah,
and everyone knows, and so that's why Rangi put us starting to prepare. All the rest are prepared.
Can we set a deadline like March? So
I
that,
honestly can't see why we can't just discuss option 2 now and just.
I don't either.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, they're over it.
Yep, yeah.
The amount of money that the council has spent on these options. And then they want to go and,
so they have to be signed off by council.
yeah.
So we
but
can only
not-
recommend.
make
But
a
we can
recommendation.
recommend and we can recommend
They're not
today.
gonna wanna divest,
Yep.
building they don't want.
Phil.
There's no way they're gonna, there's no way they're gonna take that over. They're not gonna-
Absolutely.
They've got it in their head now, the tin shed, whether it's a tin shed or not, is
No.
no go, and they're not gonna wanna divest it, they're not gonna do the work, they're not gonna.
Particularly insulting.
Yeah, so I
That's
think the
embarrassing.
only option they want is option 2, right from the beginning, they should have.
But
done
what,
to the extent
I mean, if they're prepared to take it over, that's fine.
Done a full
Well,
make.
that's what they said. That's
Yeah.
why I asked the question.
Once it's compliant, and then it's off our books.
I think we should just, I think we should just support option 2, put it to bed, but try and get them to sharpen their pencil, so it gets within.
So
budget.
it's scoped
They
properly.
take it over.
I think as well, the discussion that we have is just about individual halls individually. I think what we lack is the discussion of, here's the cumulative cost of each hall, here's the depreciation collected from each building
This is what
every
we,
year. Here's the insurance from each building. Here, you know, here's the total operational cost.
that own these buildings?
Well, I think we've asked that. a
We've
thousand
asked for
times
that,
never-
and you've asked for that, and we've never
But
got
in
it.
the meantime, can we deal with this one and move on?
Yes, please.
And say that we received the report, that we, give us some nice wording, that we support option 2
As the community's preferred
Preferred
option.
option.
as the community preferred option.
Is this an amendment or do we just?
It's a new resolution,
It's a new
really.
resolution.
So,
I need to get this right.
Do this by March.
so if you're making the changes, since you had moved the original motion, then it doesn't have to be an amendment.
Okay,
We
we'll
can
do it. I
carry
don't
on
care
with
how you
the
do it. It's on the agenda. So we received the report that the community's preference of option 2 be, what's the word?
Supported by.
Well, yeah, and
In progress.
progress preferably within the funds available. And that once the work is carried out
And it's compliant.
and it is compliant, the process of divesting the hall to the community proceeds.
Proceed, yeah.
Thank you.
Is that what you
You
want?
can't even vote, but I will second it. I made it at the other table.
I'll second it.
Bill seconded it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Oh, it only took an hour and a half a deal.
I know, we shouldn't have discussed all this. in
No,
front of-
but
front of me
they,
because-
it's a public meeting.
Yeah,
It's a public meeting and they're fully entitled to stay here if they want to. But they didn't.
I think as well, looking at the divestment, I think as well that we need to consider that for other halls. as well.
absolutely.
Well,
By March
Okay.
twenty
but
twenty-five.
we have asked for all that full information. They have got it, follow it up
Yeah.
maybe.
I do understand the committee's not wanting to take over something that's not compliant.
Why would you?
So how many of our halls would be compliant these days?
Well, there's another report further on. So.
It only got like.
Oh, yeah,
it only
item
got
8.2.
Well, the first
Wonder how
one.
much these conditions are.
I've already sent you guys.
I'll get a look.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
But I didn't look at
So,
it.
you know, in the amendment,
Read it
can
all.
number C have that amendment about divestment? Can we say by March twenty twenty-five?
No,
Otherwise, it'll.
it mightn't be compliant by then. It might, the work mightn't be done. What we're doing is giving a clear direction today that they progress with option 2.
And if we say within 2 years that they are, yeah, I think that's plenty of time to do the work
18 months.
and
Yeah, I don't think,
Is it
I don't think
possible-
we should set a date.
No, I don't do that.
Is it possible to make some recommendation also that in future, any of these other halls that require work, before they run off and let's scope some huge, let's put in 6 more toilets and a shower and a whatever, and that we just look at
You need,
maintenance
Yeah.
and upgrading what they have first before we run
Yeah.
off and.
so we get the item 8.2, that's the time to do that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So we have a template.
You've got to do that already.
I
Yeah.
get it.
so what have we got there?
And I think with Jeanette in this new role, maybe she has some commentary around how that's done. And we don't need to continue this meeting, but I think it'd be a workshop topic. Yeah. I think,
That we're all on board.
yeah. Well, we spend all the money on all these consultants, we could just do whatever's permitted, whatever doesn't. Yeah.
Process of divesting the hall to the community,
Don't actually, if you really look
To
at.
not
these
proceed
groups, they don't
to the
really
community.
themselves. They're not asking. for
No, that's not what they're asking.
to
for.
the committee or to the,
permission, they just wanna.
At the end of the day,
process
you're
of divesting
people using it.
the hall,
Our still belongs to.
Lako here hall to
Yeah,
It's been all
Yeah.
ours.
that's right.
And they don't want us to spend.
the
money
community
themselves.
or
No,
slash committee or whatever, whoever.
To the, yeah, they are a
That's right.
committee.
Yeah. no, it's-
To the
yeah, give it back to
committee.
them, then it's theirs.
We've
And
got
then,
more
once it's
options
taken
for
off our
raising
books,
money
we
than
will
we have.
replace depreciation of the operational costs.
Yeah,
All going forward. It's huge, yeah.
Oh, what a wonderful committee.
So the recommendation is that we receive the Lake O'Hare Hall renewals, progress with community's preference of option 2 to be progressed, preferably within the funds available, proceed, not proceeds, proceed with divesting the Lake O'Hare Hall to the committee once the work is carried out and the hall is compliant. How's that sound?
Once the compliance is met.
Can we please just add in there, because community board don't have delegations to divest property, if we can add that the board are recommending council divest.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Hello, Aisha, thanks for the lemon.
Thank you.
Lemon treats, those biscuits.
Oh.
Yep. It's fine. Yay.
And we just
Right,
need to
moving on.
Hmm.
So everybody's got to go. Yes.
So all in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. Right. God, I thought we would have had to workshop all that.
No, shouldn't get on.
What else for that? We're on to 7.2, funding applications. In fact, we'll deal with all the funding applications in this one. There's some further on as well.
Yeah, the supplementary ones.
So the youth line is still, oh, do I have a mover, please?
Second.
So the youth line Auckland Charitable Trust is still sitting on the table. It doesn't seem to be any sort of demonstration about specifically to the Te Hiku ward. I couldn't see anything in here, did you? Is Catherine online?
Catherine is online.
Hi, Catherine.
Kia ora, happy new year, Christmas everyone.
Yes,
Yes, they
thank you.
applied to all 3 boards and none of it was specific to any of the boards, which is why I've recommended it be left to lie and they can break it down and come back to the boards and say specifically how your rohi will benefit from what they are proposing.
Oh, so there's no information yet. So you will present that when that comes through, obviously.
Absolutely, yes, I will.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So moving on to the Te Hiku roller skating. So in this particular one, where are we?
So through the chair, I will apologise because when I received this, their report was there as well and someone had pulled everything apart and mixed it all together. So some of the supporting information may actually be from their project report. I'm still trying to sort out what is what. I thought I had attached all the appropriate information, but it may be slightly mixed up.
Yeah, it's in the supporting additional information. There's really not a lot in the agenda about this one. Here we go. I'm quite happy to support the venue hire. Oh, no, that's, yes, things are a bit mixed up. Where are we? Yeah. The venue hire of 1,200. It's on page 32 in the supporting information. I don't know about buying skates.
Through the chair. If the skate's going to be used by everybody, not everyone can afford some. If they're going to stay with the club, I think I'd like to support that.
Okay.
As opposed to, but then it's interesting.
Doesn't appear to be, or is it the?
Just don't have any. No.
There doesn't appear to be any quotes.
How many? What's they mentioned there, how many people going to these, Catherine, have you got any information on members or people attending?
One moment, I'm just trying to scroll down to their application because it should have numbers in there.
Yeah, on page.
Yeah, it's very.
I will say they have been purchasing second-hand skates from like trade men stuff. So instead of paying like $250 for new ones from places, they've been getting them for like $50 and $70 instead. So they are cutting their cloth.
I would support it. There is a lot of kids that go. I have brought my kids to it before, and there are quite a few kids. It is,
Yeah,
and I know the Burns put a lot of their own money into it as well.
I think it's a random sport that if it can.
Keeps kids off the street.
Yeah. I was just going to say as well on page 32, you can see that they've only put down the cost of the venue and the equipment hire. They're not charging anything for their time. They cover the.
No, even
Yeah, so I'm supportive.
Yeah.
How much do you have? 152. How much is already committed? 152.
Well, I move the full amount if we can.
Everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
All in favour?
Aye.
Bill seconded. Thank you. 1,700. Okay. So the next one is Waiharara Hall Committee.
Through the chair, this one has been withdrawn. Paula put it in and she got very confused about everything she was doing and was trying to split things up. She doesn't need to have this resolution. You've already covered it in your previous one. She thought she had to split half of the money to the gravel, half of the money to the other work that was being done, whereas it was just the overall cost. It was half of the total cost. So she doesn't need a resolution for that $136 at all.
Oh, okay.
And as soon as she's finishing everything, she will be putting in a project report. She's hoping to do that in the new year.
Okay, thank you very much. So that one's withdrawn. Okay, thank you. And we'll go to the 7.3, which is the extra one that came in after. So the Waitangi 2025 Waka event, which is Te Rangi Māori, REA, for $5,000. That's a recommended amount.
Buying the gazebos,
I like that concept.
but
Yeah.
we need to have a proper quote and or
Yes.
at least provide us with a quote and an invoice when it's paid. And support that because they'll use those. They'll use them so much,
Yes. Yeah.
not just for sleeping and but for every event.
So if they can supply a quote before the money's released.
Yeah.
Through the chair, absolutely they can. I did get quotes and unfortunately they didn't get included in the supporting information. The other thing is that Bay Board have supported similar stuff with other organisations, purchasing things like marquees and that. And they have asked that those organisations getting that make sure that they're available, if possible, make them available to the wider community, and possibly they can hire them out, which offsets their costs and gets them a little bit of money as well. Just throwing that in there.
Oh, okay.
Do
That's
you have a quote for the marquees?
Yes, I did forward those to Marissa.
Yep. So
And
they've
so
gone.
there was one. You go for it, Marissa.
So they've gone to two different companies, one from Portable Lose Northland. Their quote was $4,259.14. And then Black Hawk Gazebo, their quote was $3,905.
So the first one, Marissa, must be for hire. If it's coming from Portable Lose.
Yes, it was. And the Black Hawk one that I've got here is 2,440, which was a total of 4,880. That was on the second email I sent you, Marissa.
Oh, so that was the,
Let's hire it
that's,
again.
is that hire or purchase?
Hire.
Purchase. The Black Hawk was a purchase. The other one, the Portaloo one, was a hire.
Oh my goodness. I think
move that we grant them the 4,880 to purchase the 2 Black Hawk ones and
yeah.
on their and make them give us an invoice to show their pay.
Yeah. Did you hear that, Catherine?
I did.
Good,
Yes,
thank you.
I did. Sorry, I didn't realise I wasn't on mute. Perfect.
So we're going to recommend, what was it, $4,880
80.
dollars for the
4880.
purchase of the Black Hawk gazebos, and the money be released when sent in the, is that, or did you say you've got the quote?
Yeah.
Okay,
So it just has to
that's
be-
all right. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So all in favour?
Aye.
Okay.
Sorry, did we move in second?
Pardon?
I didn't get a mover in second. on that
I
one.
think Rachel.
Yeah.
Rachel said with the-
Through the chair, can I ask a question of Catherine? Are you there, Catherine?
I am indeed.
Yeah, Bill Sabriski speaking. You just mentioned a while ago that there was a proviso, or you were looking at a proviso of letting them having them lend out their gazebos for other parties to use.
Yes.
I just wanted to let you know that that's fraught with all sorts of problems, because every time I've
absolutely.
given to my cousins, they come back with holes and dents and dings, and over time, it's the worst thing you can do.
It's
I know,
okay.
just
You
saying,
haven't
though.
put it. You haven't put it in the resolution there. I know
Yeah.
with Bay they have, and that is also groups like Ngāti Rehia have got some gazebos and stuff, and they get hired out on a more formal basis, because
Okay.
that also allows them to cover costs and use the funding for other things, so they don't have to come back to the boards.
Definitely formal basis.
But yeah.
And also, Catherine, we know what Bill's cousins are like.
I could not possibly comment, and I would not deign to.
Thank you, Catherine.
Okay, so we're not going to put that higher out in our resolution. That's fine.
No
Thank
worries.
you.
I'll step out for this one. I'm a sort of alternate member. of
You
the-
don't have to. You don't have to.
Oh, okay.
Because
I'm
it's not
involved with
your,
that project,
well, yeah, it's not a financial thing.
but- Okay.
Yeah. So we're now on to the Ahipara Rangers application, and the recommended amount is 9,500. They do some good work out there, and I'm really happy, so I'm happy to move that.
I'm really supportive of that. Initially, I was contacted about the Responsible Camping Fund, which, as we know, previously funded them, and also out at Tokedo, the Karikari and Doubtless Day ranges. I would have hoped that they would have come to us for funding as well, because I think that both coasts is really helpful. So I'm supportive of this as well. I think if we can reach out in our contacts as to, well, even if the Ahipara Rangers can let the takiwa out at Karikari, Doubtless Bay know. Yeah.
And they are doing their job out
They
at
are doing-
Tokerau,
yeah.
because we've seen them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what are we funding? Advertising and promotion, which was their printing.
I'd like to comment through the chair. I fully support the Rangers out of Ahipara. I'm going to abstain just because there's a small quote in there from printing.com.
These shirts so they can be seen. QR code, yeah, advertising for the name. Yeah. That's chaos out there.
Everyone happy with,
Do you know who that Karikari does it? Is it Nina?
Nina and I think Tina Lee does. Like that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so,
And then full on.
yeah.
yeah.
So, we can just let-
So I moved it, who seconded? Okay, thank you. All in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. Right, that's 7.3 done.
Kia ora, everyone. In that case, I have to now go to the other meeting, but thank you very much for everything you've done this year.
Yeah.
I've really appreciated working with you, and have a great Christmas break.
Yes, same to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Bye.
Catherine.
So we're on 7.4, which is the committee recommendations on the drainage. That's where I missed it. For December 2024. Do I have a mover, please?
Darren.
You and
Second.
Stella? Thank you. Well, I think we're finally seeing the light of day on this drainage. The drainage committee seemed to be a lot happier. Would you say that, Darren?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is really good. We're moving forward at last.
At the meeting, I think 2 weeks ago, Darren, Bill and myself.
Yeah.
And Bill, and Dal, we all attended, and Anya Proctor came as well. She was, working really hard to sort it out, and as well as the bylaw team, on its team. There's a new general manager there, Fred Blakeman. So yeah, I think they talked about they're going to work together.
Yes.
Be great kids in the public working together. So I think they talked about a letter being sent out to all of the people who are in the area of benefit with the area of benefit map as well. So that was talked about be done over the next month, just to make people aware of what their responsibilities are in terms of the bylaw as well as in terms of what land drainage streams are. Did you have anything else to?
So they're going to have a workshop. It's in the notes here, a workshop prior to the next meeting in March. And they're going to workshop probably the bylaw and what's the other thing? The maps and the management plans, that's right. Because we started the management plans years ago and they haven't been completed yet, and they really do need the management plans in order for the bylaw as well. So
Through the chair, it could be a room, I'm not sure, but I thought, geez, if he does, we better get someone else involved. Someone told me Mike was moving to Australia, was thinking of moving to
Boxing Day.
Australia.
Boxing Day.
Mike Steele.
Yep.
he is. He is.
Okay, so is that something we need to, well,
Certainly keep an eye out.
keep an eye on, because he has been one of the main contractors,
Yeah.
knows the farms. We wouldn't want that to set us back, is all I'm saying.
Well, he was doing all the work. Tanya's aware of that.
Ah, she is?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
absolutely.
I agree with John. I brought that up with Paul Harvey after the meeting, and he said that Mike was only going over to Australia to see his kids. If he liked it, he was going to stay. If he didn't, he was coming home.
Okay.
But if he does go, he's not going till after March. But in saying that, we need to have somebody in reserve just in case.
Yeah. I'm sure Tanya would probably have that in hand. She's aware of all that. And for him to be health and safety compliant, she had to get that, like have him through the health and safety to be compliant to do the work. So that was all hopefully all done, and the work was started last week, I think. Yeah. So,
So through the chair, just getting off the, not the meeting itself that we had, but I did mention, I probably was so excited from the response I got that Tanya was responsible for the river loop. Get in contact with her to clean only river loop. Was that true or was I hearing things?
Yeah, that was urban stormwater budget.
Okay. Okay.
What's the
No.
river loop? What?
The dead end loop in the only river
From the
in
cafe.
front of the cafe.
Oh,
Cleaned it.
oh,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
yes, getting rid
Okay, thank you, and I'll follow up with Tanya.
yeah, okay.
You know.
But I'd just like to I'd just like to thank Tanya for an amazing job that she's doing.
Yes.
And everyone seems to be a lot happier now because she's, you know, staff are now working with the drainage people, and it's just easier for us as a board. So thank you to Tanya.
The other department that was discussed was the finance department rating.
Yeah,
And the, under the revenue and financing policy, the split between public good for the urban stormwater and the targeted rate that the farmers pay in the Kaitaia and Awanui catchment. And Bill's just raised, you know, a clear example of how the urban stormwater and the rural stormwater all relate to the one catchment. And at the moment, the farmers are all paying 100% of it instead of actually a percentage of that being paid from the urban catchment, which has to flow through those drains. And if they aren't maintained, then the whole flood.
Yeah, well, we asked the council in our resolution of
Yes.
2023 to do something in May 2023. They haven't.
so they still haven't got anyone to take over the job, like as a staff member to work with the drainage people, a permanent person. Tanya's sort of still the person that's, yeah, so she's got such a huge workload, and it'd be really good if we can find that right person.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a full-time job. They'll have to do, I think it's going to be split 3 ways. So, yeah,
So it'll be a full-time job, but split.
it'll be a full-time
yeah.
job, but not on the drainage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be yeah.
In one of her, sorry, through the chair, in one of her responses, I was really impressed with the fact that she said to everyone, I don't know, or I haven't done
Yes,
that yet.
yes.
And that was really good at a meeting, because sometimes it gets a bit niggly and et cetera, et cetera. And like you said, Felicity, prior to that meeting, there was an outburst which you had to apologize for. And it wasn't you.
Councillor Raj.
Yes. Jeanette needs to go.
But what about the condition assessment for council halls? Is that her as well or not?
I don't know.
8.2.
I'm covering that report as well.
Oh, okay. Now, which one would you like first, Jeanette?
Either.
Okay, we'll do the condition assessment of council halls. Now, we've all seen this report before, because when it came up in the infrastructure committee meeting, I sent this to the board. This part of it. But anyway, do I have a mover for this, please?
Well,
And a
yeah.
seconder.
Yeah.
So they've all seen this report before. I hope, because I
Yep.
did send it to you all.
I just pass it to Bill.
There's been nothing added to it since, I don't think. Is that right, Jeanette?
No, there's been nothing more added to the report since it last came out. It went to Coco for information, and it's come to you guys for information. So these condition assessments were done a few years ago, and on a rolling program, we're actually due to go out and do them again in the next year or so. So, yeah. So the work is progressing as per that report, based on renewals as they come up.
Who does the condition assessments and how much do they cost?
So a few years ago, council approved funding for condition assessments because we had none. And so that program was rolled out and we completed those for all community facility buildings. And so what did that cost? I couldn't tell you that off the top of my head, but moving forward, asset managers will be responsible for the condition assessments, and that information goes into our new asset management system once that's rolled out.
So there is a couple of ones that are of concern here, and that's the Awanui Sports Complex one. So can that be sort of like number one to do the condition assessment and if that's possible, please? And
So
the
the
other one,
Awanui, sorry, through you,
Sorry.
Adele, Chair, sorry, through you, Chair Gardner. The Awanui Sports Complex is currently being worked on at the moment. So all the work that was identified under health and safety, that funding has been brought forward and the work is being undertaken at the moment.
oh, fantastic. I think. It's good. Okay. Oh, well, that's good to know that. Thank you. So will some sort of report come back to us? When, I mean, it's got to be compliant and everything. So will that come back to us eventually?
For the work that's been undertaken on the hall, we're addressing the health and safety concerns that were raised as part of the inspections that were done. And then if there is further renewals work or upgrading work that's needed, then yes, you will definitely get a report. At the moment, we're dealing with the health and safety issues in that hall.
Okay. So what about the Kangaroo Hall? So it says it's part accessibility. It's got a yellow.
So that will be addressed when there's funding available through the renewal program.
So how far off is that?
I'd have to get that information, sorry. I don't have that information. I don't have the financial information that should be attached to this report. That's coming from another department.
Oh, okay. So we haven't, I noticed that there's nothing much else there. And also Moganui War Memorial Hall, that's not accessibility compliant.
So that particular hall cannot be made accessible. There is no way that we have the room, because of the proximity to the road, to be able to make that accessible. So we have to just accept the fact that that hall will not be accessible.
And is that against the law?
It's not against the law. So the buildings are okay as long as we don't attempt to do any building work. If we attempt to do building work, then we may be asked to try and do something with accessibility, but we can always apply for exemptions. And in this case, I think in this case, we would get one because we don't have any room to build accessible ramps or be able to make it compliant.
So why wasn't it done for Lake Ohia if it was going to be like $500,000 to do the upgrade?
So it's not
move that structural wall, etc., that they entailed.
So it's not about the dollar value, it's about whether or not the work can be done. We have to apply for exemptions. We can't just get them because we think it's too expensive. There has to be a valid building reason as to why we can apply for an exemption. And then it's up to the building team, BCA, to determine whether or not we can get an exemption.
It says no accessible parking at Moanui, but actually just outside the hall there are two disabled parking spaces.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know about that one. Sorry. I can't answer that question.
It wasn't a question, it was a statement.
Okay. Thank you. We'll get that added.
If we could get approval for Lake Ohia about moving that, not having to move that structural wall and talk to Trent about the exemption, could we save all that money?
Potentially, but it would have to be a conversation. I don't know whether they would give us an exemption to do that.
That would be great if we could talk to Trent about that, because the community as well highlighted that issue and they thought it was not a good use of resources. Thank you, Jeanette.
Jeanette, Bill Zabriskie speaking. Sorry, that's something just I remembered at some of our meetings. Just recently, we had to get inside, say, the Kangaroo Hall, we had to get some of the fire extinguishers serviced. When they went to go to the previous suppliers, they were told there was they didn't have the contract. Can you tell me who has the contract for those? And
I couldn't tell you that. That's it's our operations team, and I would have to find that information out for you. It used to be Wormald. I
Yeah.
think it is now Fireco, but I would have to double check.
okay, is that the responsibility of the VC?
No, it's the responsibility of council.
Thank you.
Just turn it off. Yeah. Okay, thanks. Is there any other issues with our halls there? I mean, Wanganui has quite a number of issues by the looks, minor pile, subfloor framing. I mean, is that that's 2028? It won't become a health and safety problem by then, I hope. Jeanette?
Yeah, no, we would hope not as well, Adele. Those things that are listed as health and safety do get monitored.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Is there any other issues highlighted in here that concerns everyone?
And she just a question, and correct for Jeanette, and I know she's new to the role. Is there an opportunity to have a workshop with staff such as Jeanette about how they scope this? It was brought up, about the accessibility issues, that was brought up about the scoping for structural issues. I'm not sure what her new role is, but the queries raised about the case study example of Lake here were basically about how things were scoped and how they're approached and on an operational side, and how things can be staged potentially, like what's been done in Awanui, to address immediate concerns and then move on to things that might need to be addressed, and essentially getting more direction from the community board and the committees before doing that scoping and consenting.
So I can address that question back to Tanya and get permission to attend a workshop with the community board if necessary.
Great, thank you so much.
With all that, if we're going to have a workshop, we really do need all the financial information that's attached to the halls as well, like depreciation, insurance, all that sort of stuff. We've had it before a long time ago, but we haven't had it in the last 5 or 6 years. So it would be really good to have that information if we're going to have a workshop on halls.
Yep, through the chair. My understanding is that information is pending, but I couldn't tell you when that's coming, sorry.
Okay. Thank you, Jeanette. Okay, so if there's no other information, no other discussion on this, all in favour? Thank you. So we'll go on to 8.3, which is a renovation of Pioneer House. So do I have a mover, please?
Trying to move it.
Second.
Thank you. The recommendation is to just support the trust to apply for external funding in support of the proposed renovations. So have you read the report?
Yep.
It'll have to be probably recommended to council.
Oh, yeah. So the committee, the recommendation at the moment is that it receives the report, and then there should be and that the community board endorses the proposed renovation project and recommends to council that it supports the trust to apply for external funding and support of the proposed renovations. That's up here. Identify. So it receives the report, endorses the proposed renovation project and recommends to council that the trust be supported to apply for external funding And that means, Jeanette, doesn't it, that the 500,000 can be used as our component of that?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's the one.
So what the trust originally asked for was for council to give them the funding so that they could do all the work, and that would then allow them to apply for external funding. Council's recommendation is that council does work on council buildings. So it's preferable that council do the work and they work in partnership with the trust. So if the trust applies for external funding, then that funding then comes to council and council provide the project manager and do the work to get it done.
I don't know whether that's exactly what they want, to be honest. I know what you're saying about council doing work on council property, but I think that the trust is keen to manage the work itself, because it feels that it will get the best value for money in doing that.
Well, they're going to go out for more funding than what council's going to provide. So.
Absolutely, much more. So what it wants is the 500,000 to be there and to be available so that when the trust applied for funding to do the work, it can say, well, there is already a $500,000 fund available within council. Council's track record actually in getting work done with, within budget and so on isn't the greatest, which is why the trust wants to do it itself.
So through the chair, that's not a decision that I can make.
Right.
We're just supporting in principle.
At the moment, we're just supported in principle for now.
So I've got 3 questions, probably for staff. The first question is, who owns the land? It's not on its own separate title, it's part of the larger reserve, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's multiple parcels within that reserve.
So,
and council owned. Yeah.
Yeah, you did it.
And the building is a council asset as well and is depreciated.
Correct.
Don't know what the yearly depreciation is.
That's why the 500,000's here, isn't it?
Yes, that's a fund that was I think it is all renewal funding, but I would have to double check that as well.
And what's the income from the current leases that could be terminated because they haven't been renewed? What is it, a peppercorn lease? I think it's quite a low amount.
Very little.
Don't know, sorry.
I know there's 2 leases and then also the museum storage. So the last question I had was about the structural integrity of the building while the funding is being sought. Is there anything structurally in the building, like particularly anything to do with the roof or to do with, gutters and downpipes, etc., or piles sinking that would be an issue for that building?
I don't believe so, but I would need to go back and check the condition assessment. I'm pretty sure there was a condition assessment done on this building, but part of the report talks about staff doing a full feasibility as to whether this is a good use of council money or not. So is the building fit for purpose? Are we doing the right thing in this space, or should we be looking elsewhere? So those options will come back to the board and will come back to council.
Okay, so can we just for now receive the report and endorse the proposal for council to partner with the Far North Regional Museum Trust to deliver the proposed renovations. Now, you've got one way of thinking how it should be done. I think the trust varies somewhat, but that can be, if we move the resolution to say that council will partner with the Museum Trust, then that can come out in the wash, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
All we want to do is endorse.
Yes.
So that's that last question, that's the last thing there.
Endorse council to support the proposed renovation project and support the trust to apply for external funding and support.
Oh, no, we don't, so we'll
cut
leave
that out.
that out. That the Te Hiku Community Board receives the report, blah, 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 and recommends the council that it partner with Far North Regional Museum Trust to deliver the proposed renovations to Pioneer House. Is that clear enough, Jeanette?
Yes, I think so.
Thank you.
Can you just, when the next paper comes, please can that building report, that building assessment be part of it?
Yes.
That's pretty well it, isn't it, Madam Chair?
Yep, that's fine.
So I'll move it.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeanette.
Thank you very much and Merry Christmas, and thank you for bringing
Yeah.
those reports forward for me.
Yes, thank you. Merry
Thank
Christmas
you.
to you and Joel.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. We're now on to
Page 71.
8.1, which is the information open resolution report. So we'll leave the drainage information there.
Madam Chair, can we perhaps get rid of all these old resolutions and put the one that we just did today instead, do you think, or not?
Oh,
Because these ones are from May 2023.
are you talking about the drainage?
Yeah. Or do you want to leave them on?
So,
Yeah, true. Okay.
Back in training.
I'm a bit nervous to get rid of them just
Oh,
yet.
yeah,
I know things are moving along a lot better.
right,
but
yeah, that's good. Just leave them.
yeah.
Madam Chair, the footpath program priority report, which is on page 75, that's a bit of a worry. So we're not getting any funding from NZTA, which is what it is called now.
You mean the Door Park toilet?
No,
You
the
talking
one
about?
above that, the footpaths.
Oh, the footpaths. Oh, okay. Well,
That's
I
a
don't
bit of a
even know
worry,
whether
eh?
we're going to have any funding for footpaths.
Yeah, so
actually.
we're waiting to hear from the council December meeting as to whether there will be any aid. Oh, good to go.
And so, no, we didn't make a decision. December, what happened is the NZTA come back to us and said what they will fund.
What will they fund?
Well, they won't fund, what they said, they won't fund footpaths. But what they've said that some unusual things that weren't originally part of the funding, they said they'll fund traction seals. You know, to steep parts of, like a hill, for example.
Oh, good.
Or Masters Access Road, for example.
Oh, but that's still got to be workshop, doesn't it?
Exactly, so
Yeah.
because we've been given new parameters and they've said they won't be giving any money to footpaths, but they will be giving money to other things. We're gonna go back and look at the total unsubsidized program so that we can make that informed decision. And I think that it's a good discussion with the board, like I know that we have a list here.
Yeah.
Would the discussion be instead like the footpaths or the traction seals, or the water tables, or the footpaths, because they're all from the same bucket,
Yeah.
unsubsidized. So I think,
Right, so that's a discussion to be had and we'll find out in the fullness of time.
did you want to provide any feedback?
I think traction seal's pretty important. Palpo holds a nightmare, eh?
It is.
For
Yeah.
example,
I wasn't asked.
drains are a nightmare.
Yeah,
They get blocked and they bugger up the roads.
And all that work's done at Patapho, the seal and all that, and it's just that
Yeah, I know.
crappy bit right in.
Yeah, Omani Road's the same in Kaya.
So one of the options within that paper was $300,000 for each ward for this year.
All of those things.
But that option was stopped because it's all got to be workshopped, as Councillor Foy said. Yeah.
Well, they're all useful things.
So there'd be 300,000 per ward, wasn't it? So
Yeah.
900,000 in total.
Yeah.
For traction seal.
No, for footpath.
Oh, for footpath.
Unsubsidized, but that was the
Unsubsidised.
reason, so we're putting that towards traction seals instead of.
Well, no,
it's all got to be workshop
Yeah,
first.
yeah. So we wait for a response. So feedback would be, I think we need to slowly, even if it's slowly, carry on with footpaths. We've got to catch up sooner or later.
Well, you can't, the problem is with, you say traction seals, well, some places are going to be more important than others.
Yeah.
I mean, how many?
That's a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
It's 900,000 across the district.
Oh, so the 900,000 does or doesn't include traction sealing?
That's for everything. That was what was recommended by staff only for footpaths.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I
so
thought you
there
said.
was about 8 or 9 things that still got to be workshopped, and that
Okay.
was footpaths was one of them. And so traction seal is another conversation within that
Yeah, for
bucket of
another
money.
bit.
So we can, it's not going to happen till next year now, the workshops. So
Okay, so at this point we have no footpath.
we have
going
no
ahead.
footpath money
Right.
at all.
Oh, well. So what's going to happen as a result of this, the decision by the government yesterday to say, council, stick to your knitting and tell us exactly what you're going to spend where?
Yeah.
Right?
They'll tell them when they know. Yeah, I mean, I think the only difference our council has to other councils, we have community boards. Other councils don't.
Oh, some do.
And we have the grant funds that some other councils don't. Some of the other,
Well, I'd be wanting to have a look at Tifono. That's a big expense compared to what it used to be.
We were the only ones not mentioned when I listened yesterday. Every council in the country was mentioned, but not us.
Where was that?
They're talking about, because they don't, we.
Going back to
community,
basics.
Most of them don't.
Oh, right, yeah.
But what they were talking about also was not the social
the full well-being.
culture or whatever. Yeah, the full well-beings and putting it back to infrastructure, which was what it was before the Labour government came in and made a whole lot more sense. But within that infrastructure, it did include reserves, libraries, or things that we've got our delegations for. The thing that would worry me if they get too much back to basics, and that's okay, but if it wasn't for us, for example, God knows what would happen to Lake Oia Fall and some of the things that we do, because we're the only ones that actually represent the community as a council, generally speaking.
Let's see.
Except for Felicity's pretty good, but basically they're not that great. Well, I'm sorry, they're not.
Okay, so we're going to leave the footpath
Yeah.
information there, and the North Park toilets, we had a email back from Bev about that.
Yeah, I've got, I'll talk about it in my report. Oh, I can talk about it now. Basically, I managed to get a, so Jeanette informed me that she was just about to do what we were going to do, which was go back to Gold and say, hey, we haven't found another spot. And so I've got KBA doing a letter. And I was hoping we could write one, I don't know, through Bev or something as a community board, and just go back to them and say, look, the council has tried to find another spot. The community really wants this for these reasons, and just, it sounds like what happened is they said yes, then the legal department of council procrastinated and it took ages and and the whole lease side of the thing, and then signed this dotted line and they said no.
Because it took too long to
Yeah.
be legal. That's what the problem was.
So I've got a draft plan which I will send direct to them via, I don't know if we go through Bev or whatever, and a supporting letter from KBA and whoever else wants to put a supporting letter, and we'll try and pull on the heartstrings more than put a bit of community pressure on them.
Me getting a letter from each businesses around there.
Well, yes, it would,
Yeah.
Rachel. Well, you can't tell me that it's not going to increase their fuel sales. It was a lovely design they did, and
yeah,
you can't tell me if it's not. I can't see the negative side.
Well, I can for Gull.
Or what if in which way? If it's not,
Just hanging around, loitering, just stinky, dirty.
but they're not.
I don't think
They're
that
not.
was the
it's-
issue.
It's not right there though,
No,
Rachel.
sure
You
it
know,
is.
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
parking, probably not there, ins and outs. It would though, I'm thinking like Gull, that's what they'll be thinking. I guarantee.
That wasn't the issue. I don't think it just took so long with the legal department.
Yeah, but maybe that was a healthy way for them to say.
The other option discussed previously was for it to go in the road reserve, and I was told to wait until Elizabeth Stacey was part of our staff, which she is now. So I think she would also be an option to go and find us a place in the road reserve in that locality for it to go.
Okay, so which one are we doing first? Because it just takes so long.
I think we talked about it.
The other one is planned. It's already drawn
As
up.
long as they say yes.
Yeah.
And all the
It's not
infrastructure.
hard to
is
go
there.
back to them from the community and say, where do you think is a better spot?
Oh,
Felicity?
I don't think that, I think any spot around is a good spot.
Yeah, but all the
Spot, doesn't matter where.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all the infrastructure is already put in there when we did the sign there. All the electricity and everything is all there, ready to go. That's the reason why
It
it
would be
was put
great if
in.
we actually knew what their concerns
Yeah.
Yeah, the
were,
real
because then we could
concerns.
easily overcome them, but and that's what we asked for, but we never really got the answer back of what the actual.
Well, I think if I got a letter, if I was the owner of that station, whatever, and I got a letter more from the community as such, as opposed from the legal department of the council, I think it might have a little bit, and Josh Kirby is right there. He wants to.
Right. Well, do you think you can get
he's-
over the line
he's
if we
actually-
can have the road reserve as
He's
a
been
backup?
awesome as a chair of KBA.
Yeah, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, so
That'd be
Amazing.
Great.
So when do you
Let's just have a go.
that letter from KDA?
Oh, he's doing it this week.
Maybe he could send a copy to Bev
Yeah.
so that she could write something similar.
We could,
Would that work for you?
I don't mind writing the initial one, Bev, and you check it and then forward it on or whatever.
Whatever
Yeah.
works. Mm.
Awesome. So we
Through the chair, sorry, Madam Chair, can I just make a comment on, I think it was Gills Road? They've recently
Yes.
sealed that, and it's just about in worse condition as it was. What I'm talking about is value for money, value for services.
oh, you mean as far as roading goes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was done, it was always brought up in our RFSs, et cetera, they did it, but it's shocking. It really is.
The actual workmanship.
The workmanship, it's sinking again, there's more potholes to the side of it. And you just gotta wonder what you're paying for.
I've got photos of it because I raised it with Tanya already at the drainage meeting, but I'll do it with our board as well, just send that
Thank you,
to
Felicity.
Bev now, because
So the contractors,
they had a giant.
Who's
amount of-
monitoring the contractors?
They had a giant amount of signs, they had it all out on the state highway.
They blocked the
and-
state highway one.
so
Traffic lights.
interesting, the contractors, probably the same ones were down Wireless Road cleaning the drains.
Right.
Hey, Bev. And I get this crazy phone call in the middle of the night. It definitely had a few beers. I won't mention who. But so they cleaned all the drains with the diggers, and he says one of the residents who's been waiting, his poles have all sunk. Lucky he doesn't own the house; he's a renter. And there's a road cone shoved up the exit drain of the farm, and two Waratah standards holding it in place, and the drain cleaners didn't remove them. Just left them there for the public to remove, and they've been there for years. And you wonder why the drains were. So someone didn't want the water running off their property or something, and redirected it.
Or they were doing something.
And forgot.
But they banged Waratahs in.
Yeah.
I got photos, and the drain cleaners went through, scraped all the drains with the diggers, and didn't remove the obvious
Blockage.
blockage.
Oh, for goodness.
But anyway,
say your water table's high and your building's substructure is gonna start sinking or being.
Yeah, so there must have been a bit of a disagreement between the two road owners, two neighbours on where the water was running, and he decided to block it.
The road.
The main road drain. The drain coming off the farm, he blocked that from going into the Y, I don't know.
Didn't want to do that.
No. But going back to the who's monitoring the work that's been done, because Gills Road is a perfect example.
So Felicity's got there.
Yeah, Felicity's got it.
Yeah.
I've just sent it to Bev for follow up, because I haven't heard back either.
And
That
just
was
adding,
2 weeks ago.
Wow. Just adding to that conversation, the road is sinking completely through Commerce Street too,
Yeah.
in places. Anyway, getting back to this agenda items, I think we can take off the Te Rarara Rugby Club lease thing now, can we?
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Still
sure
waiting
that-
on lease to be returned by a tenant. That was 2nd of December.
Oh. Well, we've done our bit though, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is left for staff.
Yeah, it's just staff too.
And you can get rid of the airport too, can't you? Now that that's
Yeah,
been done.
the airport's all sorted.
Right.
Mhm.
I had a question about the Whenua Island boardwalk.
Yeah, nothing's happened.
Has anything happened with that fund, or we have a?
Chris was going to look into it a year ago, Chris Galbraith. Nothing's happened, so it's obviously, I don't know, leave it on, take it off, whatever.
Well, there was a funding application, but it's going to cost a way, it's resource consents and all sorts of things, and it's a far bigger project than.
I'm just aware of an approved resource consent on that island now for a public winery, like for a winery that's open to the public now, so
Who's that, sorry?
in Paipulu Island, it was
Oh, yeah.
granted recently. So, yeah. That's why I wanted to check that.
Well, where it was sitting was with Chris Galbraith from Farnworth Holdings to, to let us know what the story is with regards to resource consent, etc. What's actually required. Because he did.
Maybe ask Chris what can be done permitted. Ask what can be done without a resource consent.
Well, he was just going to give an update because his position was, if the less the better, the less.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think somebody was going to do that, but they haven't yet. Can you do that, Bev?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
And one of the other things here, I think we've already talked about the full financials.
With regard to this Taipa placemaking plan, currently exploring whether there is space for trailer parking. It is not whether there is space. Space must be provided. And she's been told that at least twice.
So she's supposed to come back with another plan showing that, hopefully. And
Let's just make sure they don't roar off and do it without.
well, hopefully she's already got underway with a new plan. I'm not quite sure, or adding that to the plan.
So what we need to see, Marissa, is the plan that does provide for trailer parking.
Yeah.
None of this exploring whether.
So is any other
Reading her last email saying, well.
Oh, yes, there is, Madam Chair.
What's that?
I would like it on there, please, that the community board, regarding stabilising the cliff access to Rangiputa, because it is a,
Thank you.
Yeah.
it is a danger thing. And, it's all we were saying, well, it could be NRC, but council's got a responsibility as well. And we would like to know who within council is responsible for ensuring that the cliff is at least investigated to make sure that there's access to running water at all times or whatever.
That can kind of come throughout footpath.
Yeah.
It's blocking up.
Yep. What a lot more than footpath in the windows.
Oh, and usually
And
lands on
especially walking up there, you know, maybe with a baby and
Yeah,
push
I
through
know.
or something.
They
But
involve
sure,
that.
it is a doornail.
And will that resolution that we did about Lake O'Hare Hall go on here as well?
No, it's in the, it's in the,
That one. Like, here. Oh, no, yes, because the Lake O'Hare Hall one came as a report.
yeah.
So that will come through on the open resolutions report, the next open resolutions report.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So if we get Marissa, we'll be able to follow up with Kelly Stratford, for example, about. And
But you just put it in.
Because it was pretty Boniface in this area for civil defence, but I don't know who it is now because I think there's a new civil defence person.
She's gone, isn't she?
Yeah, the new person, I don't know the name. So I'll make it. Boniface.
Boniface,
Yeah. I remember.
And Scott May's gone too, apparently.
Oh, not yet. Next year. He's
Oh.
going.
Oh, well, he's here today on stakeholder relationships.
But Kelly is the contact for our council, so that's definitely makes sense. Even though
Is there anything else to go on this open resolutions report?
Excuse me, gotta get this.
So all in favour? Thank you. So we're up to chairperson and members' reports. I think that's the last one that we've gone through everything else. I'll move it. Does anyone else?
Second.
Okay. My report is very small. This time round. And one thing I'd like to just let the board know that Te Ahu is now commissioned for solar power.
Oh,
It was supposed to have happened yesterday.
yeah.
So that's really good news for our ratepayers. No power bill for Te Ahu. So that is fantastic. And if there's anything left over, you never know, it might go towards that. But that's yet to be negotiated with the energy company and there any questions from my report? Felicity and I did trees in the main street. We didn't get them all done.
The tipper truck.
The tipper truck and Felicity on her power saw and it's hilarious. Anyway,
That was a good success, I think.
it was.
Rachel was there doing all the rubbish. Yeah, like weeds and rubbish.
I sprayed I sprayed outside and got told of someone for using spray on the footpaths. What if we were wearing bare feet?
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
So I've asked for all the, and this is, I think Bev would have got my email this morning about cleaning up the ditches from Z right through to North Road on both sides of the road. There's weeds for Africa in the drains.
You've got all those palm trees growing in the drains up the road.
Oh,
Opposite Main
that's
Freight.
further up, but I'm talking about the main street
okay.
from Commerce Street up to North Road.
There's so many drains, but I
It's
think a whole
shocking.
rubbish bag full of stuff out of the drains.
So I think be good to get that done.
And those two new islands at Greg Street, someone
Yes.
said that there's a discussion, Bev, around who actually should be maintaining it.
Who would leave an island of grass? I just don't even know.
I'm not quite
At the
sure.
moment, it's just carrot weed.
Yeah.
It's just this high.
Why would
And
you
then I
do
put
that?
an RFS in and there was a reply to someone, we are doing, oh, Kelly, it might have been Kelly. Hey, John, I might have been Kim. Hey, John, just to let you know, this is actually getting done today, which is cool.
Cool.
But there was a discussion around who should be maintaining those. And I'm like,
Who?
I don't know. Is it NZTA versus FNDC? I don't know.
So just an update about the contract, because Adele, Hilda and I, we went, or it was actually Adele and I,
It was just you and I.
we went to the Waipapa, what are they called, City Care Depot, to give our message of how we are over how high the weeds are up here, that they only had one person for our whole Tapu area doing all of the mowing, had no one doing the spraying, and no one doing the weeding. And
It's not what they said when they were here.
that's, and that
Yes,
was
that's
the
very
spray.
positive around.
Very like, we've got heaps of people, you're gonna see it actually improve, not decrease, blah, blah, blah.
And that's exactly what we said. We said we were told X, Y, Z, and it's not happening. So after we've complained more, the other councillors have backed it up. It's not just an issue for us up here, it's for the district. And I've now been told they've employed another full-time person to do the mowing up here. So it's doubled. But I haven't been told how much they're gonna do for the spraying yet. That's not confirmed, the actual schedule. And when I do know, I'll let you know. But also the levels of service. You know, the number
You
of
would
mows.
think all of that work would have been done in the contract before they actually took it. Wouldn't it?
Well,
Wouldn't
we
they
had a lot of workshops.
Well,
Wouldn't they be fully understanding what their obligations are before they even set?
we had how many workshops with Graham Norton? And we went over the
At
levels
least
of service.
2 or 3 anyway.
Because out Doubtless Bay, we said all of the coastal reserves that were meant to be mowed. We said about Amanui, we said about the barbecues, we said about the foreshore. We said we want an increase level of service in spring because you need to mow it. And
He made a list of them all.
Cleaning the shade sail.
Then he left to go to work for NRC.
yes. So my concern is that Graham Norton left and
Nothing happened.
that information disappeared. And so we thought there was supposed to be an X level service and the left hand didn't know what the right hand was thinking internally. So I think it's Tanya Steen is the manager of that area. So she's aware of the concerns and the main thing we want to know as well is about the spraying. Because, no, it's not.
Just to reinforce that, several reports from the Wharapepe,
Yeah.
sorry, Karikari Peninsula area, same thing, things missed. Why aren't they doing this bill, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mentioned it could be the teething of until a new organisation moving in, but hopefully they will get that right, their own work.
But they've got the same guys doing the
They've got two
mowing.
now. Huh?
The same guys are doing the mowing, but.
Yeah, but there's not enough of them.
So I went and not that I'm a stalker, but I followed the mower man and he's been doing it for 20 years and he said it was just himself. And so he's confirmed now that they've employed somebody else. to
It
cover
was 2 before city.
Yeah.
It was always 2.
two mowers.
Yeah.
Okay, then now there's-
Now it's just 1.
Well, now it's gone back up to 2. And that's only happened in the last 2 weeks.
It's embarrassing also. The shade sails
Yeah.
need cleaning. And there's, I mean, I've been onto this since about August or September and nothing's happened.
Well, we could ask Tanya.
The right
Steen
for
to
out.
Come and do a workshop with us, or we'll just come online or have a talk with us.
Even in the
Why don't
marketplace.
you contact the guy that was here that was saying how wonderful?
Yes, exactly.
Well, we did,
We've been to his not.
You weren't here at that meeting.
no, I wasn't, I'm district planning.
Anyway, that's my report. If there's any other questions.
Can I just ask, under members' updates, page 210, representation reviews about, what do you call it? Community boards. this establishment of the community boards.
Oh, this is John, that's John's
Oh,
report.
yeah, that's me,
Oh,
Bill.
sorry, John. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, sorry.
So part of the CBEC thing that we're working on, and we've actually got a meeting tomorrow, and I don't know why people create meetings in the last week of the year, but anyway. It's a bit hard to get everyone involved. I think, so the representation review, part of the CBEC role has been, and especially since conference, is they're trying to obviously get the community boards a little bit more clout. Everyone's got the exact same problem, you know. Cheryl mentions and Felicity mentioned, why didn't we know about the pedestrian crossing or whatever in Monganui? Why didn't we know about this report today earlier? But it's all over New Zealand. So currently we're working on, and currently we're actually working on a document that is, let me get my email from CBEC, because we're actually working on it tomorrow.
Sorry to jump again.
No, it's right. It's perfect. It's basically a document that is let me get the wording right. It's basically a relationship guide document between council and community boards, which it's been a lot of work, but to be like for me, I don't know how it's going to work personally, but I've got to be a little bit more positive, and I've been putting little bits in, because simple things like overseeing the hiring of local contractors to deliver specified services within existing council procurement, and they said, well, we can't put that in because it's a CE, it's a, yeah, which I agree with. I said, yeah, but could we have consideration? I explained our drainage systems and our drainage, what you guys have all been working on, and said, for instance, in the far north, how would Kaikoai know who can do the spraying in Waiharara? So surely the community boards can have consideration, but whether that will ever happen.
Yeah.
It's the same situation with Lake Area Hall.
Yeah.
You know, local contractors can probably do it less than that budget.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we are, as a group, Bill, trying to create a document that will be presented to councils, that hopefully as a guideline to what information should be coming to the community boards and why it hasn't been.
Yeah.
And I can share that with you where we get to when we get. We should be finishing it tomorrow, actually.
Yeah, cool.
But they hired to do that. They hired people to do a survey. They hired people to work on the document. It's all Barry stuff to me, but I'm part of the board, so I sit there and I input if I can.
Yeah, and why I asked that is I put a quick note by it. I said, well, if I'm not hearing back from the council, I'm obviously not in the loop. So yeah, they can justify cutting out the community boards then. If they're not listening.
The biggest problem we have is, and it was mentioned earlier, most of the councils don't have community boards, and more and more now they're actually threatened that the costs. Yeah. So what I suppose it's the localism side of things that the group is fighting for.
Yep.
Cheryl mentioned it today. There's certain things, important things that council won't do that the community board pick up on. Yeah, so I just put that in there. Here we go. As to what we've been working on, and obviously I think it's hard for those groups, because as of next year, someone's got to take all that over. You know what I mean? It's the same people don't get voted in. Even if you're there, you don't get voted back onto the CBEC board. Which, yeah. Other than that, I'm not working on anything. A couple of RFSs. Put one through just recently, Bev. The footpath in Commerce Street. It's like people come along with a trailer or something, and the concrete actually displaces off it's like it's not concreted in properly. And then I go and replace them. Look at this.
Oh, my goodness,
It
yeah.
happens quite often.
Oh, yeah.
So they're not actually concrete, they're just there. And if a boat comes and parks there, they don't realise and it falls into the drain or it flips over. Yeah. And they're not actually light. I went and put them back in and
You've got an iron this one?
yeah, I have done one. Sorry? I put it happens all the, oh, it happens all the time. It's obviously worse. I don't know whether someone went and flipped those up for fun or not. Oh no, that you can see where it's broken there on the side on the road. Anyway, that's me. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, that's really good feedback. And there's quite a few issues or things that you're actually working on, rural school bus services.
I actually
Wow.
think we got it's you know how you get on committees and you go, we've done nothing in the last few years. Like I feel like, quite often that with us, where do we get to? I thought the Kiwi Saver remit was huge. That's for the whole of New Zealand, that people that want to be in local government can actually do it young people can get involved and do it as a career. They should be able to get So so that was one thing that we pushed through that I thought well, at least we achieved.
Yeah.
And the conference in general was pretty good, how it and I don't think it'll ever happen again where the community board actually aren't allowed into certain things. Remember?
Oh, we just went.
We went anyway.
Yeah.
You were the end. I was your assistant.
They couldn't stop us from going.
No, we didn't.
That's right, we too.
So what we're trying to plan for next year, because the community board doesn't have a conference till
2027 or
2020, another 2 years.
2026.
So what we're trying to do is have CBEC part of, they'll be there the day before we have our meeting, which will happen around that time anyway, so it's no extra expense. And then actually be able to speak to the LGNZ crowd which hasn't happened before either.
Yeah. The most, I guess, with that last conference, it was because there was such a change in the government, and it was interesting to see. That's why I wanted to go and see Shane Jones, the way that they were planning to head. Yeah. Otherwise, if it's just same stuff, different day, well.
Oh, it's our local government, New Zealand, is heavily invested in the left side of politics.
A lot of people know.
Heavily. No, as I can see it.
They shouldn't be
in the
political.
groups. No, they shouldn't be.
That is so wrong. They should not
But
be
then so's
political.
Forest and Bird. They're making suggestions.
Oh, that was brought up in our working together the Northland meeting with all the three councils when local government presented. And definitely the Whangarei council brought it up and they said that local government New Zealand needs to be more politically neutral.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't have biases because they work on behalf of all of local government. They should work with whoever is the government of the day.
Exactly.
So should our council though.
Correct, yeah.
And it's not though, is it? Because it's putting forward something on the treaty principles bill.
They're making submissions on all of government policy, but yeah, once that, should they be doing it? Well, if it's a submission, then yes, that's what council should be doing. Same as with the H1 provision that's been put out for submission at the moment. Same with the granny flat provision, any submissions that go out, definitely council can make. But did you want me to talk about that?
You can do.
The H1?
Oh, wait, or we'll just go around. You're finished.
Yeah, I've got we had $30,000 of book turn up for Paul White in Hokianga. Lovely man, he publishes books. $30,000 turned up on Friday. Sent them back to Wellington because they were wrong. and it's got to be done by tomorrow.
So you're,
Because they've got a big mid-eye thing on the 28th, and anyway,
You want right.
so you need to be somewhere else, is it?
I'm just saying it's just crazy, as everyone else is. $30,000 a turn up, and it was human error. Someone put the yellow plate where the red plate should be on a printing machine and printed 1,000 books like this.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, I wouldn't want to be the person. to get me to
No,
Okay, Darren.
You can take mine as read, but I would like to say that my RFSs will be done more or less the next day.
Yeah.
On the graffiti.
You're the only one. Yeah.
Well, I have had luck with graffiti and damage to property, which has been the public toilets at Pukenui Wharf and the toilets at Haurua Game Club. They've been damaged 3 times in the last 6 weeks.
So have you got security cameras there?
No, that's the next thing. We'll talk about that in February. I've sorted it all out.
Good.
I've got the ratepayers are going to put a submission in.
Well, are we
application.
Community
Funding
board for a small
application.
amount of money for basically just 2 cameras. But these ones, they're already in place, but these ones, the new ones will have number plate recognition.
Somebody must know who it is in a small place like that, surely.
The graffiti is someone who's not from Haurua. New kids come up and hit a new tag. That's what they do.
So this damage has been done to council toilets?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, is there a budget for CCTV? I mean,
No. But that guy's super helpful.
Tom Frost is really great.
No, we're not going through Tom Cross.
no, I know, I realise that.
Maybe you should be,
No, we're not.
or whatever.
Because I need my local guys to do the maintenance, which they do for free. Okay.
You said that. Which one? So that's the Centennial Park, go time, he got a full short. So Bradley, the kids language, and the city care cleaner, the tennis lady, working on fixing the door Friday. Oh. Full time, quite like that, so put on the bit of a budget on. They go and do burnouts there, good luck if they get called. Just somewhere. Oh my goodness.
Sorry?
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, Rachel's there.
In reference to your CCTV, Darren, there's a group at Manganui and Hawaii too that have done it. So with anything in terms of management, they how to set up, give us a call if you need us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks.
that's the opinion. Same one's going around the whole one.
Whenever we got graffiti in Hawaii, it was holiday time.
Same now.
Yeah, and August, everyone could type it. The young ones could identify, no, that's not local, etc., etc.
Okay, is that you, Darren?
Thank you.
Yeah, Bill.
Yep, take it as read. I just want to thank you for the support and Rangiputa and Lekoe. That's one of about 10 big issues that at least now a table got resolutions to them and we can move on accordingly. Yeah, RFS, if they continue, everything's fine in Aoni, and there's a lot of work to do. The Aoni Progressive and Ratepayers Group has to sit down next and just revise its development plan. I know there's no scoping in that. We're trying to keep it real as we can. But again, I've got to try and get the community involved and having their input. I haven't got any cakes or watermelon for you guys, but I just want to say it's been a pleasure working with you this year. It's brilliant. I like my team, and I say that to my group. So thank you. That's brilliant.
So Rachel.
I do have. A pleasure. Yeah, just take mine as read. One thing that it was great to be involved. It's a shame we got rained off with the cleanup, but it was just good for the like people to see us out and about, you guys to be out and about. It speaks volumes for our community. I've got a insurance lady that comes up often weekly, every second week. She says every time I drive into Kaitai, it's looking better and better. She said it's actually tidier and cleaner and more get up and go than she thinks Kiri is, and she lives in Kiri. So that's great to, that we're being seen as a real up and go hustle bustle. One thing that I haven't put on there, but is just driving me mental, but it's not really our delegation, is when they do the dust suppressant and they don't grade the road first, they just whack it on with potholes and thing, and then they decide to come and grade it. And I have contacted the council, I've sent emails, I've said, when you do the dust suppression, please grade the road first, because then they lay it on and it sets like concrete and it will survive 3 times longer than if they don't, but they mark my words. This week or next week, they'll come and now grade the roads, pull it all up. It's just a huge waste of money and it drives me crazy. It'd just be great if they could actually get that timing really well, because I just feel like it's a big expense and it's a waste of money.
Oh, it's like, I don't know if you guys, I'll bet you Felicity noticed it, whether Waka Kotahi would have done around Unahi Road, they did all that resealing last year, they painted it and they hadn't swept the road, and then they come and swept the road and all the paint was gone.
Same as our road.
It's like, let's just paint on top of these stones.
Like, my kids could work that out, but that wouldn't work,
Yeah, I can.
Sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
But that's a you.
Oh, since I feel like it was a bit of I'll tell you about the I'm the one that goes to those ready meetings. With the dust suppressant, they're talking about a new product which is called Otoceum, and they're doing trials with that. So, and I agree with you, it needs to be prepped first before anything's done. It's no point painting house if you don't sand and prime first. So, I think that probably an RFS through Bev needs to be followed up with, his name's Rob, he's the roading consultant, but he's changed the way that the contract is monitored as well, and where they do their inspections and how they're paid. I think as well, for your road in particular, raising it now would be really helpful through our community board about Ruarua Road. That's what you're saying, that you've already.
Oh, whole life, but yeah, no, not recent, not in the last few weeks.
Yeah, I think
it's not just my road. I've had lots of people talk to me about the dust suppressant at their own roads.
Yeah,
like I was up Diggers Valley the other day. They've done the same thing there. They haven't graded it, and I just and I you see the Fulton Hogan people come all the time to do, and they've got their monitoring lights on, saying that they're doing an inspection, and clearly they can see the road literally falling to pieces in all these places, but they're like, dust suppressant on, because that's what the thing says to do. It's just a timing thing. It doesn't have to cost any more money.
Well, I think as well it's people checking before the contract is being paid, and Rob, the specialist person he's been hired by the elected members to have more oversight, because as you're saying, being a bit ridiculous. The other thing brought up other than Otter Seal trial was it how much it actually costs for the dust suppressant and how it's done annually. So what he's doing is this trial. So Otter Seal is like dust suppressant, except it lasts 10 years.
They prep that.
That's right. And so what he's saying is that will be rolled out, but then also on top of that, traction seals have now got subsidy, which is like, and that's for hills. Places on hills that have the higher amount of wear and tear, etc. And that at the moment will be putting the dust suppressant on that binds it, like I can think of Masters Access Road, where the Otter seal or the actual traction seal, proper seal, maybe is a better solution.
It does set like concrete if it's done properly. But they did it properly a couple of years because I literally got in the car with the person. And it lasted all of summer.
Yeah.
It was like concrete and just, it was amazing. But, yeah.
So was waste oil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this does work if it's done properly, because we investigated the product they use now, because they used to have it at the oil and gas plant that I worked on, and then we investigated it and then gave the all the specifications to the council, and that's how they come with the product they've got now. Obviously, there'll be better ones now, but if it's done in the right time, it could be. Is that New Zealand?
Yes.
And so the other thing that Rob Gilmore's changed is the amount of spraying. The NTA reduced the number of sprays without telling elected members. And he's put the number of sprays back up to 3 times a year. So they only reduced it to 1 without telling or asking us.
Is that highways, you mean
No local roads.
local roads as well?
Yep, so you'll
Yes,
see.
NTA, Northland Transport
Oh,
Alliance.
NTA.
Yeah, NTA is a
Sorry.
Northern Transport, Alliance, which has been disestablished. So Rob and Tanya are the main one.
Yeah.
And so he's changed the way they do the inspections. And you'll notice as well, they've brought back in the water and rolling.
Oh.
And you will have seen the new culvert cleaning signs as well. They're doing a culvert cleaning program, and they've made a special sign to reduce the traffic management. So they just have out a simple sign. And then on top of that, they're doing a big program of water table cleaning.
Good.
So as part of our discussion in the workshop, there's $20 million of unsubsidized work. And what we said in the council meeting, that we wanted to sign where that's spent, not have the previous list, which was aligned to the regional land transport plan priorities. Since we didn't get the money, we decide. That's our local share money.
Fair enough, too.
Yeah, so there's our footpaths is amongst that discussion, so.
Yeah. So that's one of the update about the roads. Another update is we had a council meeting at Te Ahu for the first time all year. And so they all came here, all the staff, all the councillors. It was fantastic, and it was actually really well received. I bought them in sweet corn and melons to remind them that we are the food basket of the north, and also that we are the first to market in all of the country because of our warm climate. On top of that, there's a NIWA map that actually shows how much warmer we are, and that's 2 degrees hotter than the whole rest of Northland for our area. And on top of that, you will have seen the H1 considerations for the submissions. We're changing to the insulation and glazing standards under the building code. So that's out for submission now, and our council will make the submission, and that will save people tens of thousands of dollars. Potentially they could go on solar panels, because we have the hottest temperatures and the highest power costs in all of the country. 43 cents a kilowatt compared to Auckland, which is only like 27 cents a kilowatt. So
They got to bring it up on their trucks though, eh?
So, yes, we'll be making a submission about that, and I can share the screenshot, I guess in the chat of that NIWA map. I also went to the Northland Inc. workshop they had here about primary production. It was really well attended. We had all of the staff from Northland Inc. come up, and the message was received from Northland Inc., I think loud and clear, that they did not actually look at how different we are and how much hotter we are and why we're different to the rest of Northland. They had a generic approach about growing, and they didn't look at the different soil types either.
Yeah.
Which I thought was strange. If you're talking about horticulture and farming, the first thing you look at is the climate and the soil.
Well, first thing you look at is why bull brothers are up here and.
Yes. So, and there's like flowers as well, you know, tropical flowers, tropical fruits. So we are very different here compared to the rest of Northland then. So I think when they come back again, they're going to have more information. We also talked about having potentially another weather station north of Kaitai, because at the moment there's one in Russell you will notice on the news. And then the most north we've got on the news is only Kaitai. I know they have a weather station in Cape Venga, Te Rere na Wairua, because that's what the NIWA climate report. I looked at the climate reports. It references that weather station. So as a board, do you think that we should be advocating to actually have that on the news or getting our?
Nobody
council-
watches the news though.
Well, it's actually even on the Met Service app.
I know, Met Service, it should be there.
Yeah, so,
Because our north facing slopes up here are equivalent to New Caledonia's for a start off.
yeah,
And even, you know, like Julianne can put a lettuce in the ground at the same time as I can, and hers grows nearly twice as fast because the climate's better up there.
It's hotter up north.
but
Yes.
it doesn't come up as part of the normal search. You have to do like an individual search for Cape Venga. And it's just mainly to reflect that Pukenui, so Te Aupōuri Peninsula and Karikari Peninsula, significantly hotter temperatures than the rest of Northland and the rest of New Zealand.
And according to Eric Wagner, some of those soils up here, they just look like sand and mud, but they're actually elite soils.
So I think actually under that H1, we should be seeking our own separate zone, not just of New Zealand, but for Northland.
Yeah.
Because I think our community would much rather spend their money on solar panels than on insulation they don't need or glazing they don't need.
Totally agree with that.
As long as they're sensible about where they put the solar panels, like over car parks instead of over prime land.
Oh, I'm meaning on
Houses.
of houses.
On
Houses. So this is just the standard H1 for any new build.
Yeah.
So this is the map here that I'm referring to. You can see we are bright dark red compared to the rest of Northland. And they call it medium heat days, and
Yeah, we definitely don't need triple glazing.
No.
yeah, base 18 degrees, and we are bright dark red.
Well, when you ride a bike and you go an hour away from me, you feel it's just like hitting a wall.
Yeah.
Bang. You just, it's cold. Yeah.
So yes, that's what I've been up to. So hopefully you see some progress in those spaces. And I think that Tanya and Rob have been doing, and Steve, the roading portfolio holder, has been doing a great job. So keep sending in those photos and doing the RFSs. Because I think over this construction season, we're going to get a lot done.
Northland Inc. also said, sorry, I'm going back a step to about adding value too. So, did they discuss that with you?
No.
Oh, okay. They discussed it at a Downsbay promotion meeting.
Oh, you mean the?
We just send our potatoes or
Oh,
whatever,
yes.
whatever.
No,
We
they
should be looking at adding value by.
Yes, sorry, they
Maybe
did talk
tips or
about
something
that.
like that.
Like, we talked about aquaculture as well. So in the north here, we have the 2 fast track consents. One is for 9 maritime farms and one is for 134 houses for Ngāi Whakatū and Awanui and a water storage project. So both of the big projects for fast tracking are all in our district. Like that, when I say our, I mean Kaitaino.
Great. And the other thing the council did was adopt our
Oh, that's yeah.
Adopt what?
So we had a paper on 11 Matthews Ave, and as part of that, I moved an amendment and brought along my A3 colour copies of the master plan. And in the report, it referenced that the report wasn't adopted by council. So I said I was going to sort that here and now, and I moved a motion, and council adopted it.
Okay.
So our car park parking plan, which I have sent to you all, I'm hoping that it'll come up in our February agenda so that we can adopt that. Maybe Tom could be online if there's any questions about it. Who from Craig Workman? Was it Haig Workman or whatever they?
Haig,
Haig Workman. Yeah.
Yes, so thank you, Adele, for all your support. You comes along with me to everything. There's only one other, we've got 2 council representatives, and Adele, as the chair, comes along to pretty much most things that all the councillors are going to. And I know it's your birthday today as well. So, not only a special thank you to all your hard work, but also, everyone should recognise that without Adele as the chair coming along to everything, she gets this board of voice. So, yeah, we do a lot for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Felicity. Cheryl, is there anything you'd like to report?
The meeting. I've forgotten. No, not really. No, thanks.
Oh, well, so all in favour of all our reports?
Aye.
Thank you. So it's time to close the meeting, and I'd like to wish you all a very Merry
Can we sing
Christmas
first?
and a Happy New Year.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Hooray. Hooray. Hooray.
Oh, thank you so much, guys, and thank you for the lovely bouquet of flowers and of course bubbly. Did you want to have a drink of bubbly?
No.
We better close the meeting.